Camera's rolling.
Baby, I'm too young to know any better, but I guess I'm just too old to care. I'm waiting on the morning light to clear the air. Now the sky is hung with regret, letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at me now. I'm the mess you created. The one that you hated. Now the sky is hung with regret, letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe. The one that you hated. Take a look at me now. I'm the mess you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Dad Talk Today. Really quick before we get started, if you're joining me today, please like, share, subscribe, ding that bell so you get notifications when we go live. Down at the bottom of the screen is a way you can support this show, Dad Talk Today, no spaces. That's Cash App, Venmo, Patreon. There's super chats and memberships over on YouTube, and there's stars and memberships over on Facebook. And guys, you got to get your mugs. I got my coffee going this morning. This is made by Father's Rights people, and you need to take this into your court date. You need to take it into your work. You need to take it everywhere you go. And when people say, what is Dad Talk Today? Dad Talk Today is people that fight for father's rights. The name of today's show is Where Do Hurting Guys Go? They come here because we want to speak up about it. We want to change it. And this system is beyond time for it to change, guys. The reason that I'm going to go back into this today, we are new over there on TikTok. Not that I'm the biggest fan of TikTok, but that's where a lot of people are going. And we've got to be able to go wherever we can get the message, guys. It's not about what makes us comfortable or what we prefer. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what country you live in. Masculinity is being attacked. Fathers are being attacked. And we have got to get the message out any and everywhere. But one of the videos that I had over there that seemed to really resonate with people, it went viral. It's around 100,000 views now, been up less than 2 weeks. Where do hurting guys go when they're going through this? I want you to think about this. And the only reason I know that is because 5-6 years ago, I was that guy. I was that guy sitting in that empty house that once had my family in it, that I came home to every night, cooked supper. We all pitched in together, kept it clean, paid the bills, did everything. Then I find out there's another man in there. I'm going through divorce. I'm having to pay for the divorce. I didn't have the money to do that. I couldn't even walk at the time. I got a messed up ACL. And I'm finding out I'm losing my family, the thing that matters the most to me. And guess what, man? My pride was broken. I couldn't look at anybody and tell them what was going on with me. I couldn't tell them I was going through divorce or that I had been cheated on. Are you kidding? Man, I wanted to hide it. And I didn't want my kids to hear it because as much as I was hurting, I knew my kids were hurting. But what happened? I put on a mask. A lot of us guys, we put on masks to get us through our days. And listen, guys, I'm not a fan of masks, but if that mask helps you get throughout your day and you're not, I got people that keep calling me. If that mask helps you get throughout your day and you're not committing suicide and you're hanging on in there and you're doing what you need to do so that you can fight for your kids, that's what I want you to do. If you got to put on a mask, but make that thing be temporary. But what happens is when they don't have the mask on and they get home and they're sitting there all alone in that bed or on that couch where their family used to be, in that bed alone where their spouse used to be, they have nobody to tell about their problems or anything. People think us guys are just about sex. No, when we have issues, we don't go around telling everybody about that, but we do connect with our spouse. We do connect with our friends. But when this happens, we just isolate. Where do those guys go? Most of the time they go to work. And what happens is you take those problems with you to work. Men make up 93% of workplace deaths. That's the part of the conversation that we're not hearing when they're talking about, we need to get equal pay. Do you want to get equal workplace deaths? These guys are working some dangerous jobs and we need you guys. Props to you guys. Thank you for making the world go around. We need you guys out there, the hardworking dads doing what they're doing, and we need to be encouraging them and speaking life into them. They got it hard enough already, but this might be a guy that's going into one of these dangerous jobs and he's worried, where's my wife? Where's my kids? Are my kids being abused? Are they calling somebody else daddy? I don't have any money. Do I work my overtime today? If I do, I get more of my paycheck that goes away. I'm not going to have any money left over for myself after this. Who do I got to give it to? If I want some solutions, I got to go find some third party named an attorney, tell them all about my story, get billed by the hour to tell them my story so that they can go in front of this judge and tell him that I should have rights to my kids, the kid that I created, that was my right to have in the first place. We have been fugabooed, guys. When did we give the government the permission to say when, where, and how we can see our kids? Here's what I say to you guys. Your family should not have a price tag. Your family should not have a price tag. I wanted to come on here and talk about this yesterday. We went in a little bit of a different area. And why did I do that? I'm going to address that, and then we're going to get it out of here, and we're never going to speak about it again. There is so much politics that go behind speaking for fathers' rights and the message that I'm doing right now. I made a little thing, if you follow my personal page. This fight reminds me of the Lord of the Rings. That sounds crazy, right? But the family court, it's the precious. It's what makes the money. It's what keeps the industry going, the false allegations, the fight, the families breaking up, the conflict, the bias, the narrative, all these things that make the precious the family court. But I want you to think about Smeagol. Smeagol seemed like such a good guy, didn't he? At first, okay? Frodo gets there and he gets the ring and Smeagol's like, no, you don't touch my precious, you don't. But at one point he got convinced, yes, Frodo's right. He wants to get rid of it. It could be used for good, but this thing existing is just evil. And he even goes along with him. He's going to show him the way. But as they got closer and closer to Mordor and throwing this thing into the lava and it would go away forever, what happened with Smeagol? He turned on him. Guys, there's a lot of people that will tell you that there is problems in family court. There's a bias. There is a narrative. But when you start talking about completely annihilating this system, it's when Smeagol comes out. Dude, you were saying the same thing as I was until we started saying that the system needs to go away. Then you find out they've got to protect the precious. I got to protect my industry. I got to protect my money. I feel sorry for the good attorneys that are in here. A lot of these guys probably didn't know a lot about what you guys were going through before they went to become attorneys. They get in here, they see the swamp that it is, and if they speak out, they're completely disregarded by their peers. Nobody likes them, but they see that there's a problem with it. But if I get too involved, my industry is going to go away. Right? This is what I've worked my whole life for. That's what's gave me this house and my car and everything. So I'm going to talk about it and say how bad it is. At the same time, I'm not going to talk about getting rid of it completely. Guys, we need to be talking about getting rid of it completely. Okay? If there is some experts out there, you claim to be experts in parental alienation or family law, what are you doing to get the system revamped? I know, look, there is guys that are in the middle of this right now, and they're going to need some help with strategy. How do I do this? How do I do this? One thing I would say to the community out there, I've met a lot of these guys that didn't hire attorneys. They went pro se, and they would wipe the floor with any of the attorneys out there. Literally wipe the floor. Guys, you need to form a group, and you need to start building each other up. I am the last guy you want to go to for legal advice. The last guy in the world that you want to go to for legal advice. The only thing I will say to you, and it's because I've reiterated it off of experts that's been on here, stop putting the labels on it, narcissist, parental alienation, all this. They go and spend all this money on experts to come in there and explain those definitions. And if they're not showing how that's connected to your case, it does you no good. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of these experts, they're even more than the attorneys. And we'll be there. We'll help you. But what about talking about the fight in the first place? If there is a fit, willing, and able father, why does he have to go into the system in the first place? Where is his rights the second that child is born? They talk about equality all the time, but the myth of the deadbeat dad, the myth of all this is what's holding them down. And these are the guys that are trying to go through this, and they have nowhere to turn. And that's what I'm wanting to do here, because if we can reach through that screen right now and look at that guy that's sitting in that house all alone, that doesn't have any money, that's at work, he's got all of this going in his mind. These are guys that think they have nothing left to give. but they are also the guys that are going to help us speak up and get the solutions to this problem. Yes, you sitting on the other side of that screen with all the problems you got. Maybe you've done some things in your past, but you're a good dad and you didn't deserve to go through that system. I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to the politicians. I'm not talking to the actors or the celebrities right now. I'm talking to you, guy. I was you 5 or 6 years ago. The last chair I thought I'd be sitting in is the one that I am right now, doing what I'm doing. We need you. You are important. You do matter. Veterans are guys, stop committing suicide. Get involved in the fight. Where do hurting guys go? Come here. Come here. Speak up. Let them people know what's going on in here. These guys have isolated because if they say, hey, let's get on this. I'm a victim of domestic violence. Does anybody have any sympathy for him? Nope. Nobody thinks you should be hurt. It's happening to more men than it is women, according to the CDC. But it's crazy. On my show, I have these guys that show up all the time saying, hey, I was hit. I was abused. They didn't do nothing about it in the courts. And I couldn't call the cops. And hey, if I called the cops, they took me to jail. Where do they go? Should they stay in those relationships? Is it not wrong when domestic violence happens to these men? Why are they not on the billboards? Why isn't anybody listening to him? If they go to the courts, I'm a good dad. These are false allegations. I paid the money. I went through the process. I hired the attorney. Now I'm a every other weekend visitor or once a month. And now I have to go to the person that did it to me because you gave them the power. And now when I do that, she won't let me see my kid. I filed the contempt charges and nobody does anything about it. Custodial interference in Texas is supposed to be a felony. They don't do anything about it. Where does that guy go? When he speaks up, nobody listens. So that's why I say we come here. Where do hurting guys go? They come here. We become dads and we destroy this system together. I want to be perfectly clear. Family court isn't going anywhere. Family court was meant to be a good thing. It's supposed to protect the children. So was CPS. So was Title 4D. What happened? This is the problem when we get government in our lives, guys. The government never belonged inside of our families in the first place. And anytime they touch something, look what happens. Ronald Reagan. Whether you care for Ronald Reagan or not, he said one of the most true quotes I've ever heard in my life. Hey, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Anytime they get their hands on something, if there is an incentive there where they can make money, even if it comes at the destruction of families, even if it comes at some of these kids that are being killed, these parents that are being killed at custody exchanges, we are not going to touch that because it makes too much money for this industry. And I want you to think about that, guys. The reason that we did the show yesterday is we know there's going to be people that want us to shut up. They're going to come in here. They're going to do the smear campaigns. They're going to do everything they can to shut us up. That's what happens in politics. They bring up people's personal lives and try to create this narrative because we don't want you listening to them. Right now, what am I doing with you guys? We're marching to Mordor together saying, let's throw the precious into the fire. Let's do it. I think the family courts need to be rebuilt because I'll give you an example. And I want to make sure that I am representing you guys to the fullest. And at the same time, I'm representing the kids. I got a letter yesterday in the mailbox. And I'm going to put a message out there for anybody that thinks that this is what this platform is about. There was this guy. I'm 53 years old. I'm a veteran. Man, they put me through false allegations. I'm in jail for 25 years, man. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm telling you, I need some help. I need a pro bono attorney. I was told that you take up for guys like this. And so I looked at it and I was like, I think a lot of times these guys think I'm not going to do the homework. I went and I searched up this case. What did I find? He admitted to doing things with a small child, oral sex, right? Admitted it in the court. If you come to this platform, buddy, and I find out you're messing with kids, I'll show up to that rally with these guys and tell them to keep your ass in jail. That's the problem, guys. Don't. I will protect the kids with everything that I have, but I did my homework and here's somebody trying to say that there's false allegations. You can tell when you start reading these things. I've had it happen very little, but the hair will stand up on the back of your neck like something just doesn't feel right here. And knowing that that type of letter even came to me in the first place, dude. No, sir. No, sir. But there's the dangerous part about these false allegations. Where do these guys that go through false allegations go to? It's very hard because there is the people that are doing this to kids, right? And then there's the other one saying, I didn't do this. It was used against me inside of the family court. We've got lawyers, guys. There's videos of attorneys telling their clients to make this allegation because they know it's almost impossible to fight against. This is something that you can do. We're on the losing side right now. Just shoot that silver bullet and we'll get there. And then these guys, once they have that image of them, once they're accused, what is that? It's no different than what I was just talking about. It's a smear campaign. That's exactly what it is. They assassinate your character because they don't want nobody to talk to you, help you. They don't want you having no resources. They don't want you having anybody to talk to. Nothing. They don't want you to have nothing. And unfortunately, when the silver bullet comes at these guys, silver bullet, false accusations of domestic violence or sexual abuse, once that is put on one of these guys, nobody wants to talk to him. I was that way in the beginning. Dude, when people would come to me, I would say, get away from me. But then I started realizing how much of a tactic that was inside of the courts. And I've got to be there for my guys. The last thing on the face of the earth, could I have been one of those guys? I've never been through it. But I look back at the things I did get accused of and the smears that went against me. If I would have stayed in there, probably, because there's nothing off the table when somebody's trying to assassinate your character. They don't say truth. They just say what they want because they don't want people to listen to you. And it's people that can't admit any of their faults, man. And you got this person that's just shooting those false allegations. Pop, 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 pop. And these guys are sitting there, again, isolated, feeling all alone. And then the people that would have been there for them isn't going to touch them because of what they've been accused of. At the same time, there was somebody messing with kids. There are people that are messing with kids. There are people that are abusing their spouses. There's people that are abusing their dogs. They're abusing. And so it's dangerous, guys. But we're looking at around 80% of these restraining orders, allegedly, metaphorically, whatever. They'll try to get it from misinformation. That's not what we're doing here. I want you to look it up. The majority of these restraining orders and these allegations are being unfounded. Why? If I accuse you of that, nobody's going to want anything to do with you. Nobody's going to want to talk to you. They're not going to want to do this. And dude, once you go through that, the family law battle is already expensive enough. What are you going to pay? $4,000 or $5,000 for the legitimation? And all that does is get you a DNA test and sign you up on child support to pay more money. That's if you're an unmarried father. Then we go to court. You could be one of these guys that don't want to fight. You just want to get your kids and say, let bygones be bygones. Let me see my kid. And I don't have to communicate with you other than when I have to. And let's live happily ever after. That's not what happens. If they get in that court and the ex is sitting there saying, oh, he's a bad guy. He was mentally abusive. There goes another buzzword. We talk about false allegations. Mental abuse sometimes can be worse than the other types of abuse. Okay. But let's look at that with Amber Heard. Did you hear the way she was talking to Johnny? Okay. This was a guy that was accused of domestic violence, having to fight tooth and nail, losing his career opportunities and many other things because she said, he hit me. He did these things to me. In the background, Johnny, you're a man. Nobody will believe you. I didn't hit you. I punched you. I didn't do this. Think about having to talk to a person like that. What do these guys do when they have to talk to the Amber Heards? They isolate. They just say, you know what? I can't put up with it. It's crazy. I'm going to go over in my corner. I want my kids. I want to fight for them, but I'm going to the courts. They're not listening to reason. They're listening to conflict. When, dude, anybody, if you would have listened to those recordings early on, could have said, ding, 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 there's a problem here. But no, we had to go. And how many millions of dollars was made off of that? The attorneys came out good. The media came out good. There were so many people that came out good from reporting on that case. And that's sad. That's sad. It is a moneymaker. It is an industry. And let me tell you, when you start talking about their industry, when you start talking about Precious, the Precious, you start seeing the Smeagol's, guys. Is exactly what you do. The only thing I know to do is what happens with these cases. Look, dude, Johnny's case, one of the biggest cases that went down since O.J. Simpson. Where is the media reported on any of this since? Because he was a celebrity. He got coverage. He was on there every day. But I can tell you cases that were way worse than Johnny Depp. Why aren't they getting the same coverage? Why? Think about it, guys. And then as soon as Johnny Depp's case is over, we got to start talking about Bill Cosby again. They got to rush to protect that narrative. Look, dude, mainstream media and all of these other programs, they are carried by sponsorships, corporate sponsorships who also have very vested interest into politics, and their special interest gets protected. So there is a narrative that's got to go out there, and we're not really going to step out of it. They have the ability to touch on real life problems, but they rarely do. And don't think for 1 second that's not for a reason. And so what I'm saying to you guys, where do you go? You come here. I see my buddy, Mr. Whitney, down there. He said, Eric, when they don't represent you in the media, you become the media, and that's what you're doing. We are becoming the media behind this cause. And what we need is when you guys show up to get this voice that unites. Let me tell you something really quick. Everybody that's down in the comments, I see some new names down there, and I'm glad you're here. Anybody that's followed Dad Talk for a while, will you please tell them, hey, will you welcome them? Will you tell them what this show has been for you? Will you tell them some of the stories that you've seen, what good it's done? Let's welcome them. Let's make them feel special and encourage them to speak up. There is people that watch this show and they do so silently because they're afraid of being seen on this show that's talking about the issues that they're going through. Think about that. These guys are afraid to talk about the issues that's ailing them because it goes against them. Men's emotions are used against them. The fact that I'm talking like this right now, they will use that against me. I ain't worried about their narrative. Get on. I'll control my own narrative, and I'll face you face to face with anything you got with me. But these guys are afraid of their emotions being used against them, and they're going through some of the toughest battles on the face of this earth. When you mess with somebody's family, when you mess with their spouses, when you mess with their kids, you are messing with a man's existence. Guys, think about it again. Why did they go after masculinity? Why did they go after the dads? Why have you been so isolated? Why aren't you, the one that went through domestic violence, the one that got slapped in the face? Maybe you were going through the mental abuse. Why aren't you on the billboard? Why aren't you? Because that's not what gets the sympathy. That's not what gets the donations. And that's not what gets the coverage. But the fact that the CDC was reporting 4.2 million men versus 3.5 million women. Guys, we have the research. We can show it. The one thing that we haven't done, again, is get all of us here to say, look, we're all here. We're all united. And that's how they keep us from getting any traction here. These look like one-off stories. When they think it's sensational enough of a story to get them some ratings for a day or two, they'll report on these stories. Fast forward a couple of weeks, you won't ever hear about that story again. And they're going to make sure that they don't put any more of those stories anytime soon because, again, they got to protect the narrative. We only do it when it protects us. And it makes it look like these are just oddball issues, the fatherless crisis. $60 billion a year, guys. Somebody tried to say, oh, that's not manufactured. You are full of crap, dude. You are so full of crap. The fatherless generation has been manufactured by several different things. One of the things that got brought up is, the Black community is the reason that we're going through this high fatherless statistics. Look, dude, the Black community has been hit hard. And there was legislation that went in there. You're telling me that Section 8 didn't manufacture this, saying that we'll give you government assistance, we'll replace the daddy with the government, and he doesn't need to be there anymore. But you can't have a dad in the home. If you want assistance, you can't have a dad in the home. You're telling me that wasn't manufactured? Yeah, I'm sure the Black community is adding on to the fatherless statistics. But don't tell me every other race and every other, I don't care how much money you got or how much money you don't have. It's affecting all of us. Let's go over to Australia. Let's go to Canada. Let's go to the UK. Let's go to Sweden and Switzerland and all these other states, dude. I mean, states, countries, you name it. It is an issue that we are fighting everywhere because men will show up to work even when they're hurting. Even when they're hurting, they'll show up to work because they want to be providers and protectors. And even though you're beaten and broken down, you will keep feeding that system. We are the ones that put the fuel on the fire. Oh, man, I lost my family. Now me and my wife, we're not going to be together anymore. I might be about to lose my house and everything. In order to be in my family's life, let me go pay the court so I can be a daddy. Did you catch that? We have, Carnell talks about this all the time. We have convinced men that the more they love their children, the more they will pay. Well, dude, if you went to work, and so You can see I start going in all these different areas, dude. It's just the passion. This stuff, ever since I've opened up and we've been talking about the precious more and more, what really needs to be done, I can hardly get all the words out because I'm so excited. It's like I don't have to be this image of what everybody else expects you to be to talk behind these issues. I'm just another one of you dads, and I hope I'm saying, and let me know because it helps me sometimes. I hope I'm saying what you've been wanting to say for a long time. If I'm not, put something down there in the comments. Let me hear from you. I'll read them. But dude, when you go to the legislation, when you go to these people and you talk about getting change, they always say, you need to keep the focus on the children. It's not about dads and it's not about the money. And we hear this from a lot of other people. Are you crazy? That usually happens. First, it's going to be, there's a lot of deadbeat dads don't need their kids. There is a lot of these guys that don't need to be there or abandon the home. But when you start bringing up some of you guys' stories, well, you know what? Keep it about the children. It's not about the dad. It's not about the money. It's about the kids. They don't want you talking about it, because when you guys come together and you start getting the real message out there of how they have put price tags on your families, the precious gets threatened. It gets threatened. Answer me this. Anybody. You can smear me. I don't care what media you are. I don't care what politician you are. Whatever you want to do. This ain't about me. Answer me this. Why do these guys have to pay to be dads? Why? Why doesn't he have rights from the second the child is born? Well, mom gave birth. Could she have gave birth if that dad wasn't there with her? Please tell me. If he wouldn't have joined with her, could she have had birth? Could she have had that kids? Why doesn't he have equal rights? Don't talk to me about the fatherless statistics when you're not talking about the things that help the dad get back in the home that's been taken away from him. You want these kids? How many people do you hear, man, this generation is so lost. These kids are doing all these things that they shouldn't be doing. Man, I could only imagine if I had to go through that when I was a kid. They're just, it's a lost generation. Well, what is this generation missing that your generation had? Dads. It's missing dads. And because dude, even if he is an every other weekend visitor or gets to see the kids once a month, there is not much he can do with that. Why are they Disneyland dads? They're trying to make the best out of every little bit of time that they can have with their kids. And they're having to readjust to them and everything. Forget being able to teach them morals and discipline and all the things that need to be taught. He doesn't have enough time. You replaced him with another man in the house. That guy is not a replacement for the daddy. He's not. Why are women so quick to rush and put another man in the house and say, you need to call him daddy? Boys need their daddies. It was Tupac Shakur that said, look, you need a man to teach you to be a man. My mother, she loved me, but she couldn't teach me how to be a man and how to walk in those footsteps. I paraphrased the crap out of that, but that was basically what he was saying. And then they get in there. The men are supposed to be the leaders. We're supposed to be the providers, the protectors, the man of the house. Isn't that what they say? We have that natural desire. So what happens when the patriarch leaves the household? And then there is a boy that's growing up with the female. He automatically thinks he's the man of the house, and these moms can't control him. She can sit there and say, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. Man, he's not listening to me. I need another man in the house to help me because they're not listening to me. He overrules me because you made him the man of the house. If you would actually let him have more time with his dad, you might see it benefits you too. Can I get an amen? Sorry, guys. I get a little bit fired up about this. I'm going to be gone this weekend. I'm going to have a show that I'm going to pre-record for you tomorrow and Sunday. And I hope when you get here, you do the same thing. You like, share, subscribe. As people are coming in here, make sure that you are welcoming them. Let's be a welcoming community. If they don't speak about the same thing as you, or if they got different problems, or if they got different strategies on how this is supposed to be made. Look, dude, if they're forced, they can't be against us. Stop. That's the problem in this movement. Is if you don't think the way I do, you don't do the things that I do, you're crooked, you're this, you're that, and it runs people away. And you know, I had went for a part 2 off of yesterday's conversation, and I realized that's the bull crap why this movement hasn't ever gotten anywhere. Let's just rush that out. We have a message here. We have statistics. We have a problem. And that's what we need to be facing. And you know what happens when you get away from these smear campaigns and all that other stuff? They have to face the research. They have to face what's going on with you, Dad. There is not enough dads out there that can stand up. We need every single one of them around the world. Right now, where do hurting dads go? They go in here, because where are you going to get if you go to the courts? What are you going to get if you try to talk to the media? What are you going to get if you're just sitting at home all alone? You're going to get a big bunch of depression and an empty wallet. But if you come here and you do what I'm doing right now, you might hear a message that you say, I've been feeling like that guy right now, and I want to get involved. I want people to know my story. And if you want people to know your story, everybody wants it. I understand that. But it's not just about telling your story. It's about having those million stories there, because they can't turn that down, guys. We need you in here. Okay? We just do. Sorry. Man, dude, it has been, like I said, it's been a breath of fresh air here lately. Like I said, the past 3 or 4 years, going around to these political conferences and stuff, because that's what I was told I was supposed to do. If you want to get this changed, you got to change this in the legislation. Dude, we did a good job getting a little bit of everywhere and talking to these guys. And I just said, why isn't anybody doing anything? It's not a lack of awareness, guys. It's a lack of people saying enough with the narrative, and we're not going to let you sweep us under the rug anymore. When I'm seeing these cases where these guys are getting murdered and it's on the TV station one day and then they don't follow it anymore, where the mainstream media is not reporting on this. Dude, John Mass case to me, way worse than Johnny Depp. Way worse than Johnny Depp. Why wasn't John Mass on the mainstream media? I guess he's not going to feed your commercials, and he's not going to do that. Imagine, the media's got to be sexy. It's got to make ratings. It's got to make money. Dude, the same thing that keeps the media going is the same thing that keeps the family courts going. Money, 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 money. And then when you got people that talk about how bad that the family courts are, but you never hear them talking about the family courts need to go away, that's not advocacy. That's advertising, guys. Let's throw the precious in the fire. Let's do it, man. I would love to see somebody say, well, Eric, if the system does go away, what do we do after that? We rebuild. The cases like I got in the mail where I find out there was a dad doing something like that to their kids. I can't even believe you would send a message to me, dude. I am going to burn that thing, and I am going to make them aware that you tried to send me a message. Don't you dare message me. If it's one of these guys going through false allegations, I will fight for you tooth and nail. But that's not what this community is about. That's what they want to make you think it's about. And you know what, guys? You could do a million things right in here. If you do one thing wrong, that's what they're going to judge you on. People get mad that we're not telling more stories. You know why we don't? There's always 3 sides to every story. The reason that you're probably in the middle of that smear campaign and some of the stuff you're going through is because nobody listened to your side of the story and what's going on. Well, people come in here and say, this is what happened to me. That doesn't mean that's what happened to them. You need to get some facts. You need to get some research. And sometimes we don't have the time to do that. But that was one of those that, told me, go look up on this case, see what's going on. And then I see where he's talking about, yeah, I did this with the kids. Oh, dude, that makes me so angry. That makes me so angry. You got to be really careful, guys. If I would have went veteran, false allegations, in jail for 20 years, something he didn't do, man, you want to get behind that, don't you? But then you go and find out, no, buddy, I ain't touching that. I ain't touching that. We got our hands clean here. We got our hands clean here. That is not what we are here for. I'm here for my guys that have rightfully had the thumb put down on them. I feel sorry for you guys that are having to go to work every day knowing that none of that money is going to you. It's not going to better your life. A lot of times it's not going for your kid. How many of these guys come in here saying that I'm giving all the money that I've got, and my kids coming to my house with hand-me-down clothes, snot all over their face, their hair nappy and looking like they're not being taken care of. And I'm giving the money to take care of them. But mama's got her nails. She's got her nails. She went out with her girlfriends. She got her essential oils. She's got all this other stuff. But this is what my kid is having to put up with. The court should be just as upset about that as anybody else. But they really don't care. Look at that Title 4D. They will help that type of woman get that child support. And now we've got legislation that's going in there that says you don't even have to get a DNA test. 1 in 3 guys find out that test, guys, that they were never the father in the first place. Think about that. Does that not upset you? Why are you only hearing that statistic on Dad Talk? Please. Why are you only hearing that statistic of 4.2 million men versus 3.5 million women? It's on the CDC. They should make that front page news. Why are you only hearing that here? It breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart so much. But who was it? Who was it? Was it Steve Jobs? I think it was Steve Jobs that said, those who think they're crazy enough to change the world are usually the ones that do. I guess in that fact, guys, call me crazy. It's time to get crazy. Does anybody want to get crazy with me? Let's do it. You know, the sad fact is a lot of you were with crazy and they changed your world, didn't they? Maybe it's going to take you getting crazy and thinking that you can get in here and get involved in changing a system that nobody thinks can crumble. Let's get crazy, guys. Yeah. Crazy enough to think that they can change the world. We know crazy. They can turn your world upside down. They can put you through these allegations. They can take everything that you've ever worked for just because you're going through a divorce. And 70% of the time, the woman initiates the divorce. Think about that. They got statistics out there that says the man is still like the serial adulteress. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit whatsoever. I would love to have some money to get some real researchers in there and say, hey, go do a research on this. There is a lot of these guys like me. I didn't want to tell anybody what was going on in my relationship. You might not know all the facts. Stats are just stats. They make it anything that they want to be. I was looking yesterday, I saw a post and I was like, are you kidding me? Where like a percentage of people are dying from climate change, their body temperatures. And the only thing that I could think of was like, what went into making that statistic right there? Are you hearing this? Anyway, I'm going to get in here and start reading the comments there in a second. That is my heart. And like I said, dude, I'm just glad that you guys are here. We've been doing a podcast every single day. It got to the point where do hurting guys go? I'm a hurting guy right now. I'm coming to you. So I'm going to share a little bit of my heart with you guys, if you don't mind. And then I'll get in here and read the comments and we'll do the same for you. Every time that I get like this and you can see that passion, I don't quit. I haven't taken a day off in like 3 months. This weekend, I'm taking it off. I'm getting the family and I'm going to put the phone down and say, I'm not looking at it. And I need that because what happens, that passion could be a good thing. It's what makes David think that he can beat Goliath because I won't quit. I might not be as big as him, but buddy, I'm going to blaze a trail and let's see you follow it. Right. And that's how I've always been. Unfortunately, that's not sustainable. And it got to a point yesterday, I had one of the worst headaches I've had in my life and everything, but I was still sitting there like, get it out, put it down. I think I got some PTSD when John Mask was murdered. That one right there, knowing that it's not just these guys going through the family courts, but the guys are losing their lives. And these are guys that were coming to me. John came to Dad Talk. A person that ended up losing his life, that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in these courts that they said was for justice to help him get his kids back. Everywhere he went, even if it was for supervised visitation for his kids. I want you to think about this, guys. He goes into a supervised visitation center after driving 17 hours from North Dakota over there to Idaho. And as soon as he gets in there, his son walks in and he's paying for this visit. Son walks in, Daddy, runs up to Daddy, gives him a hug, sits in his lap, and they say, you've been through false allegations, lock the place down, call the police. Because his son came and sat in his lap. And he didn't want to leave. So they tried to hold that against him. He said, I'm not leaving. My son wanted to give me a hug. What happened? He got kicked out and he had to drive all the way back. Do you think that stopped him? Nope. They got a new visitation center and he came back and did it again. But here was a place that should have been there and realized they could have easily said, look, we know there's some allegations and stuff right here. Just do me a favor. We know you're here. We know you're here to see your son. Don't sit in his lap or whatever. I'm not saying we don't believe you, but there was ways that could do that. No, lock the place down. This guy is a monster. He is an animal. And this is where he was going to for help. The courts, when he had the evidence. Hey, I didn't do this domestic violence. Look at my evidence, Judge. They wouldn't look at his evidence. Where do hurting guys go? This is a guy that's losing his family. This is a guy that's facing severe allegations. Where does he go? 3 years of fighting in that system. Where did it get him? He showed you the conflict that was going on. He reported to you that I think something could happen to me. And where did he go? He went to his death because this system failed him, because this society failed him, because nobody wanted to believe him. They didn't want to make a place where we say, these can be false allegations. We need to hear his side of the story before we make any judgments. And that's so sad, dude, because it's not just that. Once he got killed, I started having an influx of these stories coming in here with guys right before I got on the show. One of the fathers that just got murdered not long ago at a custody exchange by a boyfriend. He was previously married. His previous spouse wrote in and said, look, I got 3 kids with this guy. He was an amazing father. We weren't together anymore, but just knowing what happened to him, like, I want to speak up. Think about that, man. Here's another dad dead. Where did he go? Tell me, if these guys feel like they are threatened, we've talked about the emotions. We've talked about the mental side of it. But say I'm a guy that it seems like these allegations and this fight is just getting harder and harder, and I'm getting a little afraid. I don't know that I want to show up. You're saying that I have to communicate with somebody that I think is dangerous. I think something could happen to me, Judge. What did Glenn Terry say? Judge, if you don't give me my son right now, she's going to kill him. What did he tell the attorneys? What did he tell CPS? Nobody listened. She killed his son, 16 months old. What kind of human being could kill an innocent child? Killed the child, killed themselves just because I don't want dad to have their kid. Where was he supposed to go? Nobody listened to him. Now we got this other story that's coming in. And let me tell you what happens, guys, until we come in here and we lock arms and we do the things that I'm saying. I want you to listen to me. I'm not sending you an invoice for this. I'm not. If anything, it costs me to be able to come on here and do this for you. There's a lot of people that don't like the fact that I exist on this earth saying what I'm saying right now, and I could give a crap less about them. I'm talking to my brothers out there that know what it's like to sit in that chair and to go through this. That's who I'm talking for. I'm talking for your children. I'm talking for my children. I'm talking for my grandbabies. I know what I'm here for. But where do these guys go? I feel like I'm going to be killed. The police station. The police station. A good percentage of these murders are happening at the police stations. Even the police don't do anything about it. If I am a father and I'm getting beaten or I'm getting slapped, maybe she doesn't hurt you as bad as man. I'm going to tell you, there's some women out there. Have you watched women's MMA? Anything a man can do, I can do better. Dude, I've seen some of the women that are stronger than men, and they hurt if they punch you or if they pick up a bottle and knock you over the head or hammer, gun. You're telling me that a woman can't hurt a man? But if there is a woman that's hurting a man and he says there's a justice system, this is not right. I'm supposed to have protections because this country says that I've got protections, and I call up these cops. We're not supposed to get in civil matters. We can't do this. He gets nothing. Or the cop says, and dude, I was just reading the law on this the other day. There has to be an arrest in some of these states when there's a domestic violence dispute. There has to be, because we got to err on the side of caution. We might not know all the details. We might not be able to get them here. So until it goes to court, I'm just going to take somebody to jail. Majority of the time, that's going to be a dad that's calling out, reaching out for help. So the fact that we're saying 4.2 million men, domestic violence, it makes me wonder what the real number is, because the majority of these guys that I'm talking to say, I didn't report it. I was afraid to call. Nobody listened. Or that if they did call, nobody listened. Nobody did anything about it. So are they being reflected in the statistics? I don't think so. I don't think so. You make too much money, guys. You love your kids so much that even through all of this isolation, losing your family and everything, even through all that hurt, you're going to go to work. And if you go to work and you've got to go through this system to see your family, most of the time you're going to do it because you want to see your family. You're going to feed the system. You're going to feed the precious. You're going to feed the precious. It is a great plan, man. Oh yeah, I got a tinfoil hat on right now, right? How many of you guys are going through it? And dude, the hate that comes on the page when you start talking about that. Not my baby daddy. Not my baby daddy. I beg him to come and see his kids. Oh, you beg him to come and see your kids. Question the narrative, guys. So you're saying that he has to come to you when he wants to see his kids. Okay. What's communication like? Is there arguments? Is he trying? What's that been like? Was he always just a guy that ran away? Or did it get to the point that you guys started arguing and he said, I can't get nowhere with you? And he goes to the courts. Hey, she's in contempt of court. She's doing this. Every time he reaches out, it is a war zone. And that's what they do. They'll make it impossible when you reach out and you never get any relief, not through the system, not through them. And then when you disengage and say, I can't do this anymore, you're a deadbeat. Not a deadbeat. It's a guy that met a dead end. And if these guys were listening, if these courts and all these people were listening to these guys, they would hear that. But are you even allowed to say what I just said? Have you even heard somebody question that? No, we just automatically think if a woman gets on there, I begged him to come and see his kids and he won't. We think that she's telling the truth. No, she's not. I guarantee you a good majority of the time, no, she's not. Ask some questions. Find out what he went through when he went to see his kids, and then you will get the real answer. You will. Not many people know to do that, though. We're supposed to just go with the flow, just like the cops or whatever. We're not supposed to get in civil disputes. We're just going to leave that alone. And because it's not my situation, I'm not going to look at it. Guys, the outside world, the courts, the media, all these people, they're not going to be looking at your situations, but we can. We can. Again, that's why I'm calling upon you. Does that make sense to you yet? Because I know what that's like. Can I see my kids? And dude, there's some of these guys that I say, look, I want to see my kids. Can I get them for the weekend? No, you don't deserve to be with your kids. You left us, or you didn't pay child support this month yet, or you didn't do this. This is a guy that's asking to see his kids. Go on social media. He never asked to see his kids. He hadn't been over here in a month. And then they get these people that have heard this narrative for a long time in there to say, oh man, he is a piece of crap. And then they start building this narrative against you. And then if you start to talk, what happens? They usually get louder than you. They start screaming over you because they don't want people to hear what you've got to say. That's why I want you in here. We're not going to let them scream over you. We're not going to let them shut you up. Hell no, man. Hell no. Let's get in here. Josh Humphrey says, nobody cares where we go. We are just commodities. We are disposable. People worry more about where the recycling and garbage goes. It's kind of true, man. It's kind of true. And, you know, I mean, the reason that that is such a passionate subject for me is, dude, you know, I talk about being at the house and what that was like when the house is empty and once you're going through this and you don't feel like you got anybody to talk to. But I can remember being at work. Has anybody, you know what the divorce diet is like? I lost 60 pounds in like 3 months, dude, because I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was worried about my family. I was crying my eyes out when nobody was around. I was literally lifeless. I didn't even want to exist. All I wanted was my family. And I seemed like a beat up puppy dog, but that was it. I didn't want my family to break up. I came from an intact family, and I watched when those moments got hard between my mom and my dad. They stayed in there. My ex-spouse, she was a product of divorce. She knew what it was like to go back and forth, and it was like nothing to her. I fought hard. And dude, I probably should have let go a long time ago, but it was one of those things that I wanted to be able to look at my kids. If they ever came and said, Daddy, what happened? Why didn't I have that intact family? I could say I did everything I could. And I do. I've got no regrets in that. Did everything that I could. But in the middle of losing that weight, not eating and not sleeping, I went to work. And I can remember I was a truck driver, man. I was a truck driver. I was carrying a heavy piece of equipment and trying to deliver stuff. Do you know what that's like when it's hot in the summer and you've got that little bit of air coming in there and cooling off the sweat, and you're at that stop sign and you got to wait before it turns green, and you just nod off when you're driving something like that because you haven't got no sleep at home, and you don't want to go to sleep when you get home because you're trying to fix things. You're trying to fix it. So that when you get to work, your body eventually shuts down. These guys try and try and try, and their bodies eventually shut down. Some of the last places these guys should be at is work. Or at least if they're going to be at work, have some type of counseling or resource there for them, because they will be better workers for you if you have those resources. We don't care about that with the men. I don't know. You know what? Keep your home life there. Just make sure you show up tomorrow. There is people that are just that callous, man. Is it asking too much just to give men a place where they can talk? One of the best therapies that I've ever seen for men, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, okay? One of the best therapies that cost absolutely nothing but time is letting them say what's on their mind in a safe place with somebody that can relate to them with no judgment. This is not going to be used against me. I'm going to listen to what you got to say. I'm going to try to understand it. No judgment here. It's a no judgment zone, brother. Tell me, what is on your heart right now? What are you going through? That is one of the most best things that a man can have. That's why I got that Dad Talk Today support group, guys. That's why we made it free. That's why we're doing this podcast right now. It's why it's free. It's why I'm not sending you an invoice. It's talking. And if anything, when I'm on here doing my rambling, I'm hoping there's somebody that relates to what I'm saying, and it encourages them to do the same thing. And I want you down there in the comments with each other. Can you do that for me, please? Please. It's not about getting comments. Will you start talking to each other down there in the comments? I know you're putting the comments up towards me. I'm about to start reading those, and I'm going to do that. But start talking to each other. Introduce yourselves to each other. Tell each other what you went through, where you're from, what's going on. And you might just see, the more that you guys do this, how similar you are. And if we can build that community, man, we're one step closer, because hurt people hurt other people. You know, when other organizations are getting volunteers or they're getting help, they probably got people that aren't paying these bills. It's not deadbeat. A lot of you guys are dead broke. They probably got people that aren't going through these family problems like we're talking about, that aren't stuck at work and slaves to the system because they're feeding the system. And they got people that are okay up here. I can put my time towards this and my mind isn't divided elsewhere. Here, we got the dead broke people that have to put their time towards work, that are all messed up here because they haven't had nowhere to speak. One of the ways of getting them good up here is that community, talking to each other. Hey, man, I got your back. I am my brother's keeper. I'm here for you, man. Grab my hand. Grab my hand. Get up and get in this fight, because we need you. But first, before you do, tell us what's going on with you. You do matter. You do care. I hear your fight. I've been there before. I know what it's like to have those thoughts in my head. Guys, you know what I'm talking about, those thoughts that just make you feel like you're going crazy. We know what that's like, brother, but come in here. Hear that you're not just this special person that's going through this. You weren't like this special target. You know, we say the system is broken, because I believe it is broken and is not helping families the way it's supposed to. At the same time, it's working exactly as it was designed. It was meant to isolate you, take your money, and make you pay for your kids. There is the number one problem. Your family should not have a price tag. You're already paying taxes on the house, the car, the food, everything else. Your family being in existence is already feeding the government. You being able to see your kids and live life. If we don't have families, we don't have life, guys. We don't have a world. That's the one thing that shouldn't have a price tag. Water shouldn't have a price tag. Remember when we was younger? Dude, water was free anywhere you go. Nobody was going to charge you for that, because you got to have that to live. Now, look, corporations get a hold of it. What are you going to pay for a 20-ounce Dasani? Sometimes it's more than the Coca-Cola. And I'm not just picking on you, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or whatever. They all got their own different brands. But now that essential part of life costs more than the crap that's bad for you. They put price tags on these things that they know we need in order to exist, because it's the perfect plan. You're never going to have to worry about customers, just like the medical industry. You're never going to have to worry about customers. There's two things that we're guaranteed in this life. Everybody's going to be born and everybody's going to die. And in between, there's probably going to be a lot of times that you're worried. Oh, am I dying? Is there something wrong with me? I got to go check up so that doesn't happen. And you're going to feed that system. That's why you're paying $10 for Band-Aids, or, $1,000 overnight stays. But they know that is something that's going to bring in customers. It's no different than the family courts. When we put a price tag on our families, you are going in there saying, I've got clients no matter what happens, because we know that people aren't always going to exist with each other. And these parents are going to want to see their kids. If we can make them think that in order to see their kids, that they're going to have to pay us. And then, you know what? Everybody's got trash in their life. Everybody's got something that they've done in their past. But let's make a system where we bring up something for 10 or 20 years ago or anything that went on in their life and say, that's who you are now, because that'll make them fight to defend their character. They'll hire experts. They'll hire attorneys. They'll hire all these different people. It's all trash that has nothing to do with him getting his kids. How many times have you seen some of the crap that judges are doing, having affairs, all these different things that's going on? That judge, that attorney, every single one of them got that trash in their life too, but you're paying them to put you on the pedestal and say, hey, here's all my faults, and this is why I got to pay you for in order to be a dad in my kid's life. Hell no, man. That's my kid. Judge, you need to back off right now. Attorneys, you need to back off right now. You're putting a price tag on something that does not belong to you. This isn't a new car. This isn't a house. This isn't a mortgage payment. That's my kid. That is my kid. Don't be charging for people's families, man. And where do these hurting guys go? They end up in that system. That's how I end up going over in these other directions all the time, because they end up going through that system. And I have to believe that system is a trap. What people will do is they will put the cases where there was some type of relief on the pedestal. Look, this guy did everything right. Guys, he paid, he filed right, he kept his emotions cool, he calm. Look, he got full custody, or he got 50-50 and he wasn't supposed to. If you can be like Mike, you can get through this system too. Bull crap, man. Everybody knows that, dude. I have seen it so many times. These guys can have some of the best cases in the world, and no matter what they go up against, they are guilty before they step foot inside that place. They just are. And knowing that there is a system that could do that and telling people to go play poker with their kids really upsets me. Really upsets me. If you want the family courts to be, it should be a court of equality, not a court of equity. Okay? Dad should go in there with rights already. What happens in the meantime while you keep pushing this case back and he's not able to come to court and do this? You're just making him lose even more and more time with his kids. And sometimes I feel like that's done on purpose, because now, oh, you haven't seen your kid in 6 months. You need supervised visitation. Everything is meant to feed that system. Sometimes people might be innocently ignorant and they don't realize that's what it's causing. Wake up, smell this coffee. That's what it's causing. How many kids are without their dads right now? How many single parent households do we have right now? Let me ask you a question. Have you seen the fatherless statistics? The teen suicide, the pregnancy, the substance abuse, all that. How are those kids doing in those single parent homes? What blows my mind is the attorney politicians that want to bring that up every time we have a school shooting. Yeah, those are some alarming statistics. Why are they? Because they have single parent households. You would think at some point in time, somebody would sit back and say, why do we have single parent households? Is the family courts playing into this? Why are dads not there? They don't want to cure the disease. They want to talk about the symptoms. That's it. Because dude, just a pat. He said, I tried reaching out to a woman's shelter in Oregon to see if there was a place to go with daughter for safety. They told me I could sign my rights over, my daughter to my ex, and check into a mission. Read it, guys. Read that one right there. Where do hurting guys go? Pat. He tried to go to a domestic violence shelter. This is no different. I had a case a little over a year ago. There was a veteran. Wife was hitting him, was hitting the kids, was making them sleep on the floor, couldn't sleep on the beds, mentally abusive, the whole 9 yards. This is a guy that was in the military fighting for us, man. He went to 5 different shelters. All 5 of them said, we are turning away you and your son because we do not take men here. Why? Because the women that are there have been through abuse, and it was men that did it, so we can't have you in here. Where does the man go? Do you know how many domestic violence shelters there are out there for men? You can count them on one hand, and I don't even know if you need a half a hand to do it. They're not. But if the problem is happening predominantly, and dude, let's say it's almost more 50-50. But even if it's 50-50, if you got thousands of shelters that take this in here and a handful over here, but the problem is 50-50, let's say if it is 50-50, we're seeing that it's actually a little bit more. But why doesn't the resources match? Are we connecting the dots yet here, guys? Are we connecting the dots here? Let me tell you what happens when you go and try to sound the alarm on this with people who have the ability to make a difference. It gets worse because then they find out that you're trying to bring awareness to it. Let me go get in some legislation that makes it even harder for you. Did you remember? You need to go back a week ago. I had one of the best politicians, and because he's not a politician, anti-politician, but he ran to make New York a better place. One of the best I've ever talked to, and he's libertarian. He didn't have the R, the D beside his name, and he just said what he needed to say. But people, just the way they do with the narrative towards dads, because you're a dad, you're not going to get it. People do that with the libertarians because they don't belong to one of those gangs that they don't have the ability to reach out to the people. But I want you to listen to what that gentleman said, Larry Sharpe. Ah, man, I loved that. I loved it so much. He would have been the greatest governor in the country if he would have got in there. And guys, he had a good chance at making a difference. Would he have made the governor? Maybe not. But if he would have got on the debate stage, he would have wiped the floor with them. But what happened? He needed 15,000 signatures in order to be a candidate for governor up in New York. Once he got those, they raised it up to, I think it was 65,000 or 45,000 or 65,000 in this little period of time. That's handwritten signatures that you got to get. Now, when you don't belong to the establishment and you can't just put out ads and surveys all across town, you can sit there in the middle of Times Square. Guys, can you sign this? Can you sign this? You have to have a conversation with each one to tell them what's needing to be done. So you can actually be doing the work that needs to be done because you're having to fight in order to be able to run for them. They put the thumb down on guys like that and say, we're not going to let you talk because you might resonate with the people. Go back and listen to that interview. I don't care if they don't have one of those names or one of those colors beside their name that you usually vote for. Let me ask you a question. If you're a dad and you're going through the issues that we are talking about here, when is the last time in politics anybody did something to represent you? When? Dude, what? They don't. Why not? There has been a couple of states that's passed 50-50, but dude, it took grassroots in there doing everything they could. And it was in states that didn't have the big lobbying arms that some of these other states do. They don't. At what point do we keep saying we vote for the lesser of two evils? And there's people that say, yeah, the voting don't matter. And dude, I feel the same way. But if we actually put our attention towards this and we got a couple of million of our guys and we go state by state and say, this is what we're going to do. We've got a strategic plan because we are men that are fighting for other men. We are fathers fighting for our households. We're fighting for the future. We're fighting for our grandkids and their grandkids. We can do it, but it starts now. Don't tell me Goliath can't fall. Ricardo Rampone, he said, I don't have anything less to lose. They have taken all that matters in my life, my children. We have to fight. And that's exactly why, dude, this cripples these guys. They feel like look, what do I got left to fight for? All that energy, intention, ambitions, passion, happiness that you once had, when your family's taken and they give you resources, you feel like you've got nothing left to give. And then you've got to keep going to work. So you can't come in here and do what I'm doing. You can't start a podcast or any of that because you're a product of that system. I feel like I'm one of you guys. You do have something more to lose, whether you see it now. And that's the way we get in our minds. Again, it could be your grandkids, it could be their kids, it could be somebody else in your family next. You've seen what it did to you. That's hard to say. You might not be able to get any relief right now, but come in here and let's work for other people. I will tell you, it gets hard. It gets stressful. There's been times where I feel like I'm having a heart attack because I get so stressed over what some of these guys are going through, and I feel like I have nothing I can do. Because where do they go? All I know is to do is to talk and to get the message out there. But at the same time, there's been the other side of that. Some of the best friends I've ever had in my life have came from this movement. Some of the most therapy I've had is, you got to realize, when I started Dad Talk, I knew that there were people that went through this, but I really thought I was alone. when I was in that bedroom alone, kids not there, going through all this stuff, I thought I was the only one. And then what happens is we get here in these groups and we think, because this is what we're seeing all the time, that the whole world just knows it. No, they don't. Step outside of this podcast today, go have a conversation, and you're going to find out how many people don't know about it. At the same time, there is millions of people that are going through it, but we don't know who's who. It's like that movie They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper. I used to love that movie when I was a kid. Had to put on the glasses and you could tell which ones were the aliens and which ones weren't, right? Here I go with the movie things again. The precious. But there is a lot of these hurting guys out there, and because they don't have anywhere to go, they're just walking around in society. But amidst all that is people that have consumed the narrative and are not watching this show and have no idea about it. But because we're in here, we just think the whole world knows. No, I think the politicians do. I think the attorneys and the judges do. Absolutely. That's a fair assumption. But to think that the world does? Now, how do we get out there to them? How do we get that conversation out there? But again, it makes you feel isolated. Build the groups, man. Build the groups. Get stronger. Alex Rosa said, I'm a producer and wrote a movie as a veteran about the struggles of family court after service. Brother, I'd love to hear from you, man. Message the page and tell my secretary to make sure that we get connected. I'd love to hear about it. Dude, some of these. Alan Mullins said, second allegation, the first one, detective lied on the stand in custody for him. Dude, the allegations are crazy. Crazy. Anyway, guys, I've been going. I'm going to get through your comments. Okay, there might be some silencing. Dark Blade said, this speech is why I support this channel. I care about truth and healthy relationships. Guys, it makes me feel good to hear that. I'm putting my heart and soul into this. And I'll be honest with you, this is my last big push. I want to do it for the next year, and I'm going to hit it with everything I got. 2021, 43 states. We went to numerous of them, and there was times I'm not getting paid for this. I'm away from my family. What am I doing? I knew what I was doing. And dude, every time I turn around, there was connections that I made in some of those states that end up fighting and making sense a couple of years later. Why was I here? I've asked that numerous times, and then I find out, dude, you were doing what you were called to do. At the same time, there's only so long you can go before it feels like you're running out of steam. I just want you guys to feel it. 2023 feels different to me. I've never done a podcast every day since I started this podcast. I didn't do it, but now I am, because I feel that sense of urgency. Like for the first time, I got a clear vision of what needs to be done. And I'm not bullcrapping anybody when I talk about what I feel about. Dude, watch out for Smeagol. Smeagol tells you, like I said, there is a narrative. It's bad. There's a bias. There's all this. But when you start talking about revamping the family courts, that's when you start talking about that which really needs to be done. And you find all the Smeagols that say, not my precious, don't get rid of that. We need you guys in order to be able to watch out for Smeagol. Okay. Sorry for talking about the Lord of the Rings, but it's what it reminds me of, because they'll march with you. You'll have them right beside you. But when you get close to that mountain, ooh, that face, it changes. It's different. You're just a bunch of deadbeat guys. You're irresponsible fathers that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Bullcrap. Don't bring these guys' way. I hear that all the time. The reason that you guys are going through this is because you are not trying. You are not fighting the right way inside of the family court. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And because you're angry and you're letting your emotions get the best of you. There is some of you guys that are letting your emotions get the best of you. But why? You took his family away. You're taking everything away from this man, and you're trying to attack his character in the first place. Yes, he's being gaslit. There's some of these guys that can recognize it and say, I'm not going to react to that. But a lot of these guys, they're going to jump to, that's not true. That's not true. And dude, if somebody's saying bullcrap on you and making you lose the things in your life, that which you hold dear, you're going to get angry. Rightfully so. But they use that against you. This problem exists because these guys aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. There is going to be some of those guys. Absolutely. But this problem exists because of what you expect them to do for their own family. No, dude. Yes, there is guys that give everything they've got just to get that every other weekend, but that's not the way it was supposed to be. And until we step back and say, what in the world is going on with this freaking system? We have brainwashed everybody and they think it, dude. This has been going on for so long. This is ingrained in people. When you talk about, like, if you're one of those parents that's went through alienation, you got this child that's been brainwashed, it's really hard to get them to understand this is what's going on. They believe in the Santa Claus, right? Think about how heartbroken they are when they find out Santa Claus isn't real. That's what they find out when they find out this brainwashing wasn't real. It's the same thing with these people that believe this narrative when they see, oh my God, I've been sitting back there protecting this. I could have asked questions there. This was going on right up under my nose. How many of these kids are making their way to this channel saying, I hated my dad my whole life because my mom told me he didn't love me and he wasn't there. And now that I've gotten older, I've found the letters I've seen that he was trying for me. I don't even know. And you know what? I had a dad that loved me. And once I finally found him, he died. Dude, I've heard that one so many times. Right when they reunite, or before they get a chance to meet, their dad passes away. They went their whole life because now they're older. And now that they can get outside of Smeagol and this other person that's been brainwashing them, they can get the truth, but it's too late. It comes at a time that's too late. You program that child to hate that parent. Those fatherless statistics happen to your kid because you didn't allow the father to be there, because him loving the kid threatens you. Him loving the kids threatens you. And the courts, again, dude, they know this. They know this. I think there is a part of that that's in the Leave It to Beaver days. They still think the woman is, I mean, dude, look at how your narrative contradicts yourself. They still think the woman's going to be the caretaker. She's going to be the, you know, the one that takes care of the house and does all this. Look, man, we're in the generation of strong, independent women. Anything a man can do, I can do better. I want to do better than him. I want to do all this. They aren't just sitting at home and doing this stuff. Guys are out there doing their own thing. We're not in that same generation. But the laws are still stuck in the 1950s and 60s. And they have been for a long time. I was a single dad. I raised my daughters. I think I did a damn good job of it. You're telling me that we don't exist? That's another thing. You single dads that are raising your kids. Maybe you're not the ones that are losing your kids. Maybe you're just a single dad that's trying to get in there. You know what this fight's like. You need to start speaking up too, because there's a lot of people that just don't think you exist. You do exist. I know you do. Real Pepto-Bismol said mental abuse is hard to prove. In my experience, the court system doesn't care. Dude, that is just one of those that, and I agree. Mental abuse towards a man is hard to prove. If a woman says she was being mentally abused, I think she has it a little bit easier. Would you guys disagree with me? I don't. They say, oh, it's not men versus women. Look, dude, when a woman can make an accusation or say something against a man and it's listened to, and then when a man speaks, it's just him being sour, angry, and deadbeat, it does become a problem. And that is the reality for a lot of these guys. When he's getting hit, nobody listens. She gets hit. And dude, look at the Dana White thing. Dude, you just had the best example of it in the headlines just a couple of weeks ago, where Dana White slaps his wife. He hit a woman. Oh, man, he's so bad. Did you guys watch the video? Because what I saw in that video is they was in a club, they was drinking, and out of the middle of nowhere, she popped the fire out of him. As soon as she hit him, he popped right back. But the only thing that we saw was Dana needed to be taken off of the UFC. He needed to lose his job. He needed to lose his money. He's probably done this several times before, because that's what these guys do. They do it all the time. Poor woman. She slapped the crap out of him, dude. And he did it back. Where was the equality in the media for that one? That tells you how the media tries to shift the narrative. Dana White hits wife. No, the wife hit him first. He returned it back. Ask and you shall receive. Nobody should be putting their hands on you. Nobody. Do I believe in hitting a woman? No, I don't believe in a woman hitting a man. Don't put your hands on these guys. If you lay your hands on these guys and you start fighting them, and they fight back and they knock you on your butt. You asked for it, lady. Karen, sorry. What did you expect to happen? Start reporting these things right. If you want domestic violence to go away, talk about it the way it's supposed to be talked about. Tim said, well, if we don't allow false allegations, real victims will be afraid to come forward. Sarcasm. Dude, that is the biggest crock of bullcrap. I have reached out several times to the domestic violence organization saying, please come on the show. It was just like that note that I was telling you I got about earlier, guys. I do my homework. I am on the same side of them. If there is somebody that's being beat, there is a child that's being abused, dude, we need to rally for them as hard as we can. The problem is you got the people over here that the majority of the time are making false claims about which you say is bad that needs to go away. They're making false claims as a tactic in family court. And what does that do to the victims that you're trying to advocate for? It makes them look like the boy who cried wolf. They're all saying wolf, wolf, wolf. Nobody's wanting to listen to her. Nobody's wanting to listen to him because you've allowed these false allegations to take control. But if we come in there and we can help you advocate for these people that are being abused, these kids that are going through this abuse, these spouses that are going through abuse, and we do it on every level, women, men, and children, and dogs, and animals. If we stand together, we are against abuse, but we are against false allegations. And if you make an allegation to the point that where you're taking away the credibility of these real victims over here, you need some type of consequence. Don't you think that us in the domestic violence industry should be locking arms and talking this same message? I do. But maybe that's just me. Tyler Davis said, single dad, first time listener. So much truth here. My baby mama abandoned us to go figure herself out. We know what that means. Being a single dad is tough, but you got to protect your kid. How many of you heard that? I got to find myself. I don't know who I am anymore. I love you. I just don't love you like that anymore. And I don't know who I am. I got to go find myself. Now you're in the bed with some other man. I found me. Look, hide and go seek. I found me. Dude, I'm trying to give you a little humor because we've all been through it. You know what? Be glad. Be glad it's gone. You ain't got it in your life anymore. I know you might be going through some hardships, but you'll look back on this years later and say, hallelujah, I got out of it. But let me talk to you, Tyler. You said first-time listener. Do me a favor. When you get out of a relationship like that, don't go do it again. Don't go do it again. I want you to sit in here. Dude, if you're a first-time listener and we need you in here, we say a lot of the same things, but we got conversations that these men need to hear. And it looked like you got a kid there in your lap. Your kid needs to know this too, so that they can safeguard themselves against these things that are going on. Heal yourself. You need to go find yourself. Don't go find yourself inside of another relationship. When a woman takes off or she gets in another relationship, men will try to find their new identity through a new relationship. And they're not ready. And because you didn't heal, you didn't step back, you didn't take the red pill, you didn't find out the tricks that they play, you're going to go into that next relationship thinking that your previous relationship is the way things are supposed to go. And so you don't see the red flags. But with that person that takes time to heal, that gets in the gym, takes care of themselves, that works on the relationship with the kid, and that makes sure that next time, if I do go through this, I'm not telling you guys not to get married again. I hate the version of marriage that the government's got right now, but I'm not saying not to get in relationships. But the next time you get in there, if you see red flags, I want you to go cautiously. If you think that you've got that person, you know, it takes some time, make sure you know them, and guard yourself. Guard yourself, because I guarantee you this, Tyler, if you will wait a couple of years from now and you will work on yourself, you will look back at the relationship and say, where did it go wrong? Where was my signs? Where was my signs? And then once you find out, oh, I should have been paying attention there. I should have been paying attention there. This is what I should have done different. Then you can go into a relationship much more healthy because you've got the ability to protect yourself. Guy, if you don't protect you, nobody else is. And I'm warning these guys that go through these relationships after going through, because that was me. That was me. I hadn't had any attention, affairs and all that. I need somebody to want me, because I don't even want myself, man. I don't even want to live anymore. The only reason I'm here, the only reason I'm going to work is so I could take care of my babies. but there's somebody that wants me. That's why we go into these relationships. We want to feel valued. We are hurting guys that have nowhere to go. I have nobody to talk to. There is no resources for me. But if I get a relationship and you find this woman, dude, they'll find you at your lowest. Oh, sweetheart, I am so sorry what you're going through. Oh, that's horrible. I'll never do that to you. I'll never do that to you. I'm different. Tell me all about it. I want to know all about the pain that you're going through right now. And then you trust this person, you communicate with them, and then you love them. And then you get in a relationship. Maybe you get married, you have a kid. And then once those red flags start happening and that relationship starts to go sour, that person that you found in that time of need that you poured your heart out to, all of those secrets, all of those vulnerabilities start coming in. Guess what he told me? This is who he is. They will annihilate you. There are some real women out there that will prop you up, that will back you. But there is also some that will find you in some of these darkest of times. And when you find the dark times with them, they're going to be used against you. So just be careful, man. Seth there on YouTube said, I was labeled as verbally abusive. You are guilty till you prove yourself innocent. The only problem is you can't prove yourself to be innocent. And that's right, dude. That is, thank you, Dark Blade. I appreciate that, man. He said, yeah, she did, Mike. She did. She's at work right now. I did take the day off yesterday. I'm back. I'm taking the day off. And I'm going to go out with the family this weekend. But I got to talk to my brothers before I go, because we can't lose the steam, man. We can't lose the conversation. We just can't. But these guys, see, look, I keep going in all these different subjects. Don't let me look at the comments for a second. These guys that go through those false allegations, it can be almost impossible to prove your innocence. They don't have to prove that you were any of these things that they're saying you are. They just have to make people think that they are. And because that narrative tells them that that was what men does, people are quick to believe it. And he's got to go get an attorney and all these experts that can do these tests, these psychological tests, these lie detector tests, these psychosexual exams, all these things that cost money and money and money just to show that, dude, she was lying. Why, if they can prove that a woman was lying about this maliciously? Sometimes there might be an allegation and people think that this really happened. There's somebody trying to find out what's going on. That's different. That was a parent that thought they had merit behind it. But once they find out the truth, they're like, I am so sorry. I apologize. Let's continue on with life. That's rare, but those are there. The one that maliciously makes a false allegation against you to get that upper hand in family court because they want to assassinate your character is a different story. Look at all the money that it takes you to be able to prove it, if you can, that you were innocent. If you can prove that they were maliciously doing that, not only should there be a consequence of jail time or like an eye for an eye, if you were going to go to jail, if you were going to lose the kids or whatever it was, now she is. It's actually coming back on you. You messed up, Aaron. It's coming back on you. But she should also have to pay for those experts, those attorneys, and everybody else that was involved that this man had to hire to show that she was a liar. Am I wrong? I don't think so. Let me get down here. Jason said, welcome, guys. This place has been a great place to find others who can understand. I followed for a while and didn't say anything, but I'm doing the best to get my story out properly. 5 years battle with over 60,000 spent. Dude, and that's just, I appreciate it, Jason, and I've been seeing you. Jared, he said, their goal is to erase dads from family and from society. Absolutely, there is. Dude, Jared, nice to see you in here today, brother. I haven't seen you before, but I'm glad you're here. And you know what? I agree with what you're saying. Make sure to keep showing up. And any of your buddies out there that is going through that issue, do me a favor. Tell them to come in here, subscribe, ding that bell. We're going to do something about it. I promise you we are. Miss Julie Pruitt. Look, guys, we have some ladies behind Father's Rights that are, dude, They're awesome. Julie would be one of the first ones in here. I do it every show just to show you there's certain ones that show up here the second that I hit the live button. She said, welcome to all the newcomers. Please join the Dad Talk Today support group. You are not alone. The Dad Talk Today support group is only on Facebook, but it is a group that is 100% free, that when you go in there, it's a closed group, and it's around 28,000 parents right now. Not all of those are active members posting every day, but when you feel like I need some help, or I just need to, oh, my chest is tight, man, I'm going through this stress, I just need to tell people what I'm going through, it's a good place to do it, because you're not going to get judged for it. There's going to be people in there, brother, keep your head up. I've been there. This is what happened to me 4 or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You can get through this. This is what you can do. Go in there. That is a good group. You have to request to join, and everything is manually reviewed. We don't let any of the trash get in there. So I appreciate you for talking about that, Julie. C there on YouTube said, mainstream media is dying so quickly, and rightfully so. They are so fake. It's funded by corporations. Lately, it's almost Pfizer, and it's so insanely obvious. Most people under 60 years old see it. You know what? I don't get to listen to other podcasts that much, but I was listening to Rogan just yesterday, because he had somebody on there that I really enjoy. Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy, if I wasn't fighting for fathers, he's got the job that I would want. And I think I'd be good at it. I think I'd be better than you, Dave. I'm not going to lie. I might be biased. But all he does is travel the country and eat different pizza and score it. And he scores it on the carriage and the cheese and all that different stuff. Like, he started Barstool Sports. That was something else. But no, the one I'm jealous about is having a show where you just show up with a cell phone camera, eat a slice of pizza, rate it, and you get millions of views and donations and all that other stuff. I'm over here with my guys because this is what I believe in. At the same time, he went on Rogan, and it was a great conversation. But he started talking about the mainstream media, like how CNN is hemorrhaging money right now. Because a lot of these guys, I think they said it was around 70% of all the advertising that you're seeing on TV is Big Pharma. Well, and that advertising is what it takes for that media to exist. Do you think there's not going to be a bias on pushing back on some of that? Yeah. Guess who else Big Pharma is involved with? Politics. Can you go into our politics and see how many of those companies actually put money behind these campaigns? Go and follow themoney.org, whether it's Joe Biden, whoever you want to go to. Put it in there. See where their donations came from. Now, you're telling me that somebody that gave me all that funds so I can run my campaign to help me get in office, if I get in there and I know where that money came from, that I don't have a bias to make sure I protect it? Man, if I talk down on them and they lose money while I'm in office, next time I got to run in 4 years, what's going to happen? There is special interests that are protected, and we are just one of these many interests. The family court has an interest in the narrative against men, because that's what keeps it going. But it's no different than the media. Go check that out, though, man. That was a very good podcast, Joe Rogan with Dave Portnoy. Let's get on down. Oh, and Paul said it's so obvious, but people turn their heads. Section 8 keeps dads out. Dude, imagine there being legislation that says you can have anything you want. Moochie, so fresh. What up, Moochie? Government just wants to rob you. Yeah, dude. You imagine Section 8 saying, we'll give you everything you want. We'll give you housing. We'll give you food stamps. We'll give you insurance. We'll be your daddy. We'll be your daddy. You don't need a daddy. Get the daddy out. Why would they have such an interest in getting the dad out? Come on, guys. This ain't tinfoil. This is real stuff. Look at what it did to the Black community. And I'm going to say, dude, can I speak to that community right now? The ones who created that is a lot of who you're voting for. And I don't care what color it is or what letter it is beside their name. Go and find out who was behind Section 8. Go and find out who was behind Title 4D of the Social Security Act. Go and find out who was behind the Violence Against Women's Act, VAWA, the funding that has created this domestic violence narrative that just got reauthorized inside of a $1.5 trillion spending bill. Go see who started that and who backed it. There was bipartisan support, both parties. And we are voting for the ones that do this crap to us because they've done a good job at making you think that they have your best interest. You know, there was one person that made the country think that he was the best thing for him. He could speak life into him like I'm doing right now. He would get up there, swing his arms. You need to do this. You need to do this. And he got the whole country behind him. And then he became one of the biggest nightmares on the face of this earth. Hitler. Hitler was a good speaker. He had people convinced. Look what they did for him. We had a world war off of that, man. And that's what happens in politics. You get these guys in there and you think they're doing this and they speak. There is people that have so little hope, or their lives are so mundane, just working and coming home and spending time with their family, that they don't want to get involved in anything else. But they see this strong character up there that's saying, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And people will follow him. You got your leaders and you got your followers. Those leaders, especially, dude, I'm going to talk about some pastors. They're good speakers. But their interests belong in that offering plate and what's going around. And so do these politicians. Look at what this legislation is doing to us, guys. Look at what it's doing to us. Sabrina said, you're talking our story. And this is a mom. But dude, grandparents go through this too. They do, guys. Paul said, I know how bad it is, but never looked at Section 8 like that till now it's an obvious bias. I'm at a loss for words for it. I just want to mock it, and all the jokes are bad. Look, dude, I'm going to tell you, there are some good people that I have met in politics. Not many, but you know who opened my eyes about Section 8? I'll tell you. In this community, again, we are hardworking parents, so a lot of the resources we got is very small. So you get into a lot of these same groups and you hear about Title 4D, you hear about 50-50 shared parenting, and you learn the lingo. And then that's a lot of what we repeat to people because we want them to know about it. We want to become advocates and we want to get some stuff going. There is so much more that's going against us that you don't hear anybody speaking about. And I'm not going to tell you that I know all about it, but I'll meet these people every once in a while that's like, whoa, say that again. I need to research that because I don't see anybody talking about this. First time I met this person was at a political rally, and I knew they were blowing up. They had one of the most viral videos at that time. I was like, man, I got to talk to her about fatherlessness. Kim Klacik. Baltimore, black lady walking down the streets of the ghetto in her high heels and her dress saying, look at what they've done to our city. And people had never seen anything like it before. The crazy thing is I had just got back from Baltimore and I got to see what that city looked like. But then I saw the people commenting on there. No, it's not that bad. Yeah, it is. It's even worse when you get there and you look at it. But when I talked to her, I was like, are you talking about the fatherless issue? I want to talk to you. Can you sound some alarms about it? Eric, I am so embarrassed, but I don't know anything about it. And I know it's something that's affected my community. Take my phone number next time you see me. I'll have something for you. I thought she was fake, dude, because that's all I ever get out of politicians. They usually don't give me their phone number. But they'll say, I'll try to figure it out. We'll do something for you, buddy. We'll do something for you. And then they don't do diddly squat. But it was just like 2 short months later, she's standing in front of my booth at one of the conferences and said, I'm ready to talk. And when she got on there, she started talking about Section 8 and how that affected the black community and these government incentives that are destructing the families. And she was schooling me, dude. Just 2 months prior, she was saying, I don't know much. And then after that, she was schooling me. It was somebody that actually did what they said they were going to do. And I said, we don't usually see that. I'm going to tell you, that's been a buddy of mine. And she showed up. She just showed up here not too long ago. And that was where you find some of the real ones. And you know when they do, when there's something that they say they're going to do. There's a lot of people that make promises and they don't keep them. She was one that kept it. And she started telling me about Section 8. I've never lived in Section 8. I don't hear any of these other groups talking about Section 8. Everybody says Title 4D, Title 4D. Dude. The black community is facing the fatherless issue worse than anybody. It's bad in every community. Don't get me wrong. We are all facing it, but that community got decimated. And yeah, Title 4D's got something to do with it, but hearing about that, because guess who's living in the projects, man? Predominantly, guess who's living there and facing some of this? And they have convinced them that government can be the daddy. Get the daddy back in the home. That's what we need to be doing. And I appreciate Kim so much for coming and talking about that. And we got to get more of that awareness out there. Imagine we'll give you everything you need. Don't have a dad in the home. Don't have a man in the home. Not just dad. It's crazy. Let me get down here. Robert Griebsland, that's my buddy up in New York, guys. He said, how much does it cost to house men in jail who can't pay child support? Cost them a lot more, but dude, while you're in jail, Robert, we know it doesn't go away. It doesn't like stop. Oh, he can't pay it now because he's in jail. We just keep racking it up, and then we get interest in everything because we look, it doesn't cost us anything to get that money. It's costing us to put him in jail now. But look, that's just a future investment for me, because if I can keep racking this money up that he already can't pay, we're only supposed to get that money until the kid's 18. Maybe we can get 30 years out of this guy because he'll be paying away this interest for all this time, and we'll keep putting him in jail so we can get more interest and we can get it to accrue. Think about it. What these politicians are not thinking about of what it's going to do to their kids and their families. They're thinking, because I'm making the money on it now, that I'm safe, I'm cozy. But do you know what it's going to be like 20 or 30 years from now when your kids get older and they're the ones that's going through it? And then you come over there and start saying, I can't see my grandkids. Guess what's happening to my son or daughter? These family courts are evil. CPS took away my grandkids. Oh, dude, I have talked to the legislators where CPS came in and took away their grandkids and they can't see them. And they're saying, look at what they're doing. And we're saying, we told you. Why now? It's going to happen to them too. And that's when I think we might start seeing some change too. When it starts hitting some of these higher ups and it starts affecting their families, you'll start seeing a little bit more emotion, because now I got some vested interest in it because they mess with my family. Top Dad, what up? Let's get our dads in here. How do y'all like this shirt, man? Look at that. Australia. I'm going to wear this today. I'm going to wear it all day today and show it off. And when people ask, look, dude, Australia. I had people ask me just a couple of days ago, Eric, why would you be worried about Australia? We can't get anything going here. You want people that aren't going through this to care about you, but we shouldn't worry about somebody else just because they're on the other side of the world and going through the same fight and their system got based off of ours. Could you imagine if you went over there and started getting some soldiers together and said, guys, hey, remember what I talked about with Hitler? You say this ain't a world war? I look at it as a war. There is a war on masculinity. There is a war on fatherhoods. We need to be going all over. And I was so proud to be able to talk to them, man. Make sure to go check that out. It's Dads Against Discrimination Support. And I'm very impressed at how they organize over there in Australia. I tell you what, the states could look at some of that. Unfortunately, they go through a lot of crap being able to talk about that. They have it worse in many ways. They're not allowed to speak up. But if we could come over there and speak up for them, and then they support us on the show, and then we support them. Dude, you heard what Larry Sharp was talking about the other day. I don't need you to be donating and money to me. Nope. If I want to make funding for this movement, show up, like, share, subscribe, comment. That's how you can support this show. Because as we grow this show and advertising and stuff, like if we can get a couple million subscribers and we can get that ad revenue up, watch what we do with it. Dude, I've always said, man, if I had a couple $1 million, I would give a black eye to the family law industry like they've never seen. Ever. I know what it's like operating with pennies. I can only imagine if we had a war chest. Because I know what we're fighting for. I know who it's affecting. And we just got to make sure everybody else sees it. And it's not going to be this podcast. You understand what I'm saying right now? In order to be able to do that which needs to be done, it's not going to be this podcast. This podcast right now is talking to our community that's suffering from this and giving them a place where they can go. Where do hurting guys go? Here. This is a big part of my mission, is just letting you know that you are important, that you matter, and that you're showing up here and you got a platform where people can understand you. The other side of this, the real fight's going to be going and making media for people that normally wouldn't watch us and getting them to listen to something that they have no interest in. There's ways to do that, but it's going to take some money and it's going to take us growing. So it's going to be a multi-pronged approach. I want to get these groups in here. Guys, you want to starve attorneys? Start those pro se groups up. Start teaching. I'm not the guy to do it. But I see the need for it. I'm not saying I'm the answer for everything, but I'm a damn good media person. I know how to promote. And that's where I want my part in it. All these different groups that are going out, I want to interview them. Oh, Mr. Palmer was just on here, and I don't think not even a week ago. Did you guys see that show? Did you like it? I got a message from Palmer yesterday. He was suspended on YouTube. Yep, another one of our channels. And even though his name is much different, it's not Dad Talk, it was F Child Support. A lot of people have judged him off the name. Did you hear our interview and the things that he was saying? Sounded almost identical. Just had a different perspective on it. Yeah, he got suspended. And I think he's going to be trying to move that show to Rumble, which is something that I would say, if you're watching this, we do have a Rumble channel. Am I streaming on it right now? No. But if we can get you over there and you will like, share, subscribe on Rumble, ding the bell over there too. That way we have backups when this goes down, because now look, he spent all that time building this platform. What happens? We spend all this time building this platform for people to get here, to get this movement ready, to get this fight going. And then they say, you violated this. You can't do this anymore. They can cripple you that easy. And that's why organized movement, people showing up, is so important. You can't let one of these little obstacles come in your way and say, okay, it's over with. No, sir. We're going to keep this thing going. We're going to keep it rolling. Joshua Janoff said, we don't have rights to our children because the state owns us through parens patriae and birth certificate. Okay. I think Joshua, if I'm not wrong, you were one of the ones I met in New York, man. They're so cool guys up there, man. They really will. I don't know what the hell you're talking about right now, though. But there's probably some truth to it. I just don't. I don't know. Elizabeth G. Amen. Elizabeth G. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Jason, enjoy your weekend time. Thanks for the pre-recorded show. Oh, I will. Hey, dude, I haven't pre-recorded the show yet, dude. I'm live. I'm live right now. I'm going to your comments from way earlier. I'll be pre-recorded tomorrow. Sabrina, Dad Talk today. Absolutely. All bio parents and children have that bond, but we are talking about dads right now. And that aspect needs to be highlighted. Why can't we talk about dads without being attacked? You don't see this on mom pages. You just don't. Why are we creating a gender council that, in my mind, there's only two, but this gender council doesn't even mention men or dads or boys. It's women, gay, and trans. Men were completely left out of it. Guys, is that not blaringly obvious? That's what went on. Pay attention. You might not want to be involved in politics. I don't want to be involved in politics, but the politics wants to be involved with us because they thrive off of us. They thrive off of us. You don't have to play the game, but don't let them make you a part of the game. Pay attention enough to say, I'm taking my pieces off the table. You go and play your game elsewhere, because they need money right now. They're hemorrhaging money. And the last thing they want to do is lose the multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry that's known as family court. The precious. They don't want to lose the precious. Pasquale Catalano, he said, go to counseling. It helps. I go twice a month. It has helped me big time. My wife and I go together because stepmoms are feeling the pain also. Dude, thank you for bringing that up. The stepmoms, when they come in here, did you see the episode a couple of days ago with the stepmoms? That was amazing. Amazing. Those ladies don't play around. They say, this is it. And mom, if it offends you, that's your problem, not us. And they're getting attacked over there on TikTok for doing it. I went and saw some of their stuff, and I'm like, they think that we're intense. These ladies don't play around. But I am glad to have the stepmoms and grandmas is something that I would love to see show up on the show more and more. Your voice is needed, and there is a lot of stuff that we can do with you. But yes, stepmoms are going through the stress of being in a situation that they didn't create, but they love you enough to be there with you, because there are some real women that will protect their man. Okay. And they go through a lot in the middle of this battle too. And that counseling, making sure, you know what, dude, I'm a very big advocate for counseling, but make sure you're going to people who have your best interest at heart and who are going to understand your battle. Okay. I went to my counselor a couple of days ago. I've been in it for a month and a half now. And the only reason I didn't go to it before is I didn't have the money. I don't really have the money to do it right now, but I found a men's rights guy, Tom Golden. Awesome guy. Awesome guy. Red pilled, knows all about it. And he showed me all these little different tricks that we do. And he's been getting on to me for like the last 2 months, you know, that I've been going for him, or a month and a half that I've been going to him and saying, I want you to do this 15 minutes a day. Start off doing this. Here's an exercise. And I don't do it. I show back up and he's like, did you do it? I was like, no, why not? I was busy, man. I was doing this. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy. And I can be a bullshit artist sometimes too. I want to get some results and I want to get some relief, but I just keep on going, right? Because I believe in the fight. At the same time, you got to take time to take care of yourself. And if you got a stepmom in there, you got a beautiful wife that is wanting to fight this with you and believes in you and that is supporting you. You want to protect that too. You want to make sure that we know all of this friction that's coming in here doesn't belong in our relationship. It's from a previous relationship. And that can get hard at times when that's what you're always fussing about. And it's got nothing to do with your relationship now. Work on your relationships, guys. They're worth it. They're worth it. If there is somebody that's willing to stand beside you in the middle of all this bull crap, that's a beautiful person, man. We need to appreciate him. Mr. JD Hardy said, dads who do not gather the energy to challenge a woman end up drinking their life away, doing drugs and other things that mess people up. Some do manage to go to family court and lose their minds. Most go to court and pay an arm or a leg to win. Even that does not feel like a win. Rare cases, men win custody. Rare. Dude, I'm with you. And JD, I don't know that I've seen you in here before again, brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being at Dad Talk. And please make sure to show back up. But this is it. You're not supposed to challenge, because if you challenge, you might actually be a man. How many? This is what Dwayne was talking about yesterday. My ex always said, "You're always right. You think you always got to be right." Was I right? Do you not want me to challenge it? If you're saying some bullshit, do you not want me to challenge it? And if I'm wrong, I can sit there and tell you that I'm wrong. But we're supposed to challenge things. We're not just supposed to accept. That's the problem with the world right now. They have accepted this narrative. Why haven't we challenged against it? Because we have taken away that pride and taken away that ability for men to be able to do so. Or so they think. Are we doing it now? Why haven't we done it more? Let's keep doing it, man. But I appreciate you for putting that in there, man. Thank you so much. I have no idea how far back I am on these things. Tim Trainer said, I think the 1/3 statistic for men who already had doubts, the general rate is about 10%, I believe. No, 1 out of 3, around 30 to 33% of men who get a paternity test find out that they were not the father. I want to tell you this. Do I think it would stay at 33% if all of them was there? No, but do I think it would go too much away? We could see it go up. Do you know how many people find out they were never the dad? Again, they say most of the time that the man is the cheater now. Dude, I would love to see the statistics on that. 70% of the time, the woman's initiating the divorce. And I would say a majority of the time, this is my opinion, allegedly, metaphorically, whatever. I'm not saying this is a firm statistic. I'm saying this is my opinion. But I would be able to say 70% of the time when she's initiating divorce, there was already another man there. There was already another man there. There was a relationship going on. She met somebody at work. She started sharing communication with somebody that she wasn't supposed to. Affairs don't start in the bed. They start when you start doing the building blocks of a relationship with somebody else that you're not supposed to. And if a husband says, man, you're talking to them too much, stop. You don't want me to have friends. You don't want me to do this. No, I'm not being jealous. I'm not doing this. That's what you're supposed to be doing with me. I want to know what's going on in your life. I want to protect your heart. But they'll start talking to these people, and then they build relationships with them. I think a lot of these affairs start at work. Okay? And a lot of these guys have no idea what was happening. This could have been going on at work. She could have got pregnant at work, and the whole time. Dude, one of the saddest things, one of the hardest things for these guys that are going through this are the ones that think that their relationship is okay, and then they find out later, she was cheating on me the whole time. This has been going on for years. And I'm not finding out about it until my home's breaking up. Was the kid mine? I think if that Paternity test was mandatory. We would have some shocking results. If you listen to Carnell, pastors, man, he had several preachers that they were finding out were never the dad in the first place. Do you know in Jamaica, allegedly, this is what Carnell was telling me about. I'd have to get him on the show to get you, but look this up, guys. In Jamaica, it could be up to 70%. I'm not talking about people that think that if they tested 70%, shoot, dude, that's when you're going to find out. Father X said, when I have to beat Goliath, I always think, what would Rocky Balboa do? And that keeps me going. Seriously, maybe that helps you too. I know it's cheesy, but it works for me. It's not cheesy, dude. I was the guy.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
I was the guy that used to record the songs on the cassette tape. I had all the Rocky songs on there, from Eye of the Tiger, No Easy Way Out, dun-dun, dun-dun, being there on my Everlast bag. Yeah. I was a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, dude. I could do the split between two chairs just like he could. And you might say it's cheesy, but you know what? If it inspires you and it gets you going, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. Rocky, he was that guy that they kept telling him he couldn't do it. He was a nobody. How is a nobody going to fight a champion? He came in there and rocked Apollo, man. You know, that was actually a true story. Look up the real Rocky. Chuck Webner. Chuck Webner was just a regular Joe. He was on the amateur circuit. And one day he went up against Muhammad Ali. Guess what? This guy that they thought it was just going to be a squash match knocked the greatest Ali down. And he's standing over him. Look at it. This guy that nobody thought could do it. And that's what a lot of these people are looking at us like. These guys that got no resources, that they don't have the attorneys, they don't have all these other people, they don't have the legislators and stuff. They'll never be able to make a difference. Watch Rocky, buddy. Watch Rocky. I got the eye of the tiger in me, brother. Hell yeah. If that music gets you going and that gets you through your day, that pumps you up, that inspires you to get in here, then brother, da-na-na, da-na. Hell yeah, I love some Rocky, man. Don't get me on the movies. KT90, he's a gamer here. What's up? Dude, I haven't even got to talk about that. Video games. Video games is one of the healthiest things that I've had. I've seen video games get demeaned. Oh, all these. I think the person that sits there and does nothing but video game, or that's where they put their whole life into, that could be a dangerous place. Okay. But that person that maybe spends an hour or two on video games a day, or when he gets a break and he's talking to his friends and his family and he's doing that, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Sometimes this world can be so hard, and these guys that are going through these challenges, I would rather you be on Fortnite or Call of Duty or whatever game it is that you're playing, talking to some friends and having a smile and getting through your life, than sitting in the bed wondering, how am I going to exist? I want to commit suicide. Oh man, my life is crashing. I miss my kids. How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to do this? I'd rather you be playing Call of Duty. I'd rather you be playing Fortnite. And if that imaginary world and making sure that you can get the better weapons and that you can kill the zombies or whatever, if that gets your mind off of it, I'm for it, brother. I'm a gamer. I'm a proud gamer. You can demonize video games all you want to. Yeah, the crazy thing is, anything that we seem to find our interest in, guys, gets demonized. Whether it's video games, sports, or what, anything that we start doing, whether it would be dad talk or anything, will be criticized, because we don't want you to have anything. Dude, when I was in a relationship, I don't want you playing video games. I don't want the Wi-Fi on. Dude, I talked about the story. I watched Encino Man one time, and because I had a lady in a bikini, I was watching porn. That's how crazy it got. Okay? They don't want you to have anything to do. Take away all your hobbies. One of the biggest signs that you're with somebody that could alienate you from your kids is when they start taking you from your friends and your family and everybody that could speak life into you, that you care about, that you go to, that are your mentors, because they don't want anybody to be able to look at you and say, this is what's going on, dude. You need to get away from this. And video games gets attacked because that's time you take away from that person that wants the control. Play your damn Call of Duty and your Fortnite, man, and you have fun with it. I'll have to get on here and put my gamer tag on one day. Me and Dwayne have seriously been talking about getting on here and playing some zombies one night, but we didn't know how you guys would take it. You know, I got to do that one time this week, and I'm not going to lie to you. It was good. It was the one time that I wasn't thinking about family law, and I was thinking about killing some damn zombies, and I walked them through the Easter eggs. I'm pretty good at zombies. But would you guys be okay with us doing that? He's actually got the setup for it right now. I've had people tell me like, man, don't do the dork stuff. And you get off on these different conversations and stuff like that. Dude, I think that's good. Anytime that I can see one of my brothers, I already know what you're in here for and you're hurting and you're going through these challenges. If we can help you take your mind off of that for a second, good. It's what it's for. See there on YouTube said, I'm very grateful that John met you. Imagine if he never talked to you. It would have just been a short story in the local news. That would have been even more sad. Stay strong, Eric. There's a lot of PTSD with that one. Dude, one of the hardest things I've done since I've been here and doing this was right before I had to take the break last year. I stood in the parking lot where he got shot. I went in the visitation centers where he went to for help. I was one of the places he went to for help. And I have questioned in my mind time and time again, God, what could we have done to see if John could still be here? Unless that system changes, unless people open up their hearts, I'm afraid John was just number one, man. And you couldn't have done it to a more undeserving guy, dude. They used everything they could against him. Again, the family don't like talking about it much. That's the reason they left. He was Amish up until 2004. He went almost, over half of his life living in the Amish community. No electricity, no running water, no cars, and all this. And so this world was still somewhat new to him, and they wanted to believe in the good of everybody. That is one of the most loving and forgiving families you will ever meet in your life. And then he finds himself going through this lady putting these allegations on it. He just figured that there was good in the world. They got out of the Amish community. They left, and he finds himself in family court and is like, Judge, here, look at the videotape. He honestly thought they were just going to be good human beings and listen to what he had to say. No. And because he was Amish, he was socially awkward. He was good. He was bold. He was blunt, but he was socially awkward. They used everything they could against this guy, man. And I look back at it now, dude, and there's just signs that I can't explain to you that every time that I do something with this, I look back and because you question, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something different? And you look back, the times that you think that you're doing the most useless stuff, and you say, damn, I didn't know Thanksgiving of 2020 what that was going to turn into. I was trying to pre-record a show for these parents that were hurting, so it would play on Thanksgiving, so I could go spend time with my family, but make sure that this community had somewhere to go to. He was the first caller. The first. Those aren't the highest rated shows. Most people are with their families. I wanted this community to have something, and I wanted them to be able to speak about what they was going through. Where do hurting guys go? On Thanksgiving of 2020, John Mass came to Dad Talk Today. How important was Dad Talk Today to John? Did it keep him from getting killed? But the last words he ever spoke about that story is on here. What he wanted his kids to know about his fight, it's on here. The conversation where I pulled him up afterwards and had no idea why I was doing it, something told me, just talk to this guy. How many of you have I pulled up on the screen and talked to you? I can't, dude. There's just too many of you. That day, something said, Eric, pull him on the screen and talk to him. This guy needs to talk to you. And we did. And I didn't even know I recorded it until later. We've got that. We've got that. That's where the hurting guys are going. What's it doing for them? I'm very disappointed in myself that we haven't found the answer. I'm very disappointed in myself that the family courts haven't changed. I'm disappointed that it does seem like there's no movement sometimes. But I have to give forgiveness and say you did everything you could freaking do, man. And that's what we're doing here, man. I'm glad he found me too. I'm just so upset that this world, society, humanity failed him in every single way. Our justice system is still failing him. It has been 2 years. We have not had a court date about John Mast yet. It has been pushed back. And if you want to know my truth, I think what they want to do is bring up his false allegations and stuff that he's already proved wasn't true, because we just got to hope that the silver bullet works one more time. That's all the defense has got, is the silver bullet. Look at what he did. Look at the facts. Look at the murder. What happened? And tell me, the only thing you got is to make John look to be this guy that he already proved to you that he wasn't. That's what we're waiting on. Even now, 2 years after his death, the justice system is failing him in every way. And you know what they're telling us, guys? Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. You'll taint the jury pool. You'll do this. Don't talk about somebody that lost their life. Then I'm talking to the mother, like a week ago, a different mother whose son just got killed by a boyfriend. They're telling me I can't talk about it. That's what they're telling all these custody exchange murders. Don't talk about it. Why? Because somebody on the jury might see it. Yeah, they might see the other side of the story too. The people that are trying to make him out to be a hero. The people that are doing the GoFundMes to try to get these people out of jail that did murder, man. No doubt about it. So plain as day. But you want the family and the victims to shut up. It's a sick world, man. And this battle goes a lot more deeper. I try to be funny on here sometimes, and I try to help get my mind and your mind off of it too. But there is times, man, I just want to, what in the world is wrong with you guys? It's disgusting. It is disgusting, man, what our justice system does. Jared said, in North Carolina, I believe every county has child exchange locations sponsored by the sheriff's department. Dude, I've said it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. A lot of these custody exchange murders are happening at the police stations. The only thing that would help, one, I mean, we've tried to process this in our minds because there's no perfect answer to that. There's none. But if you can limit contact, one, if dad can pick up the kid from school, then he doesn't have to come in contact with mom. He doesn't have to contact. He doesn't have to communicate. Let's just make the deal that I pick him up from school, and then I take them to school on that first day, and then that way we don't have to come in contact. We are too high conflict. Let's just keep it away from each other. The courts could do that. There's your solution. Or if we do have a custody exchange center, it needs to be, and there is some like this, and there's never been an incident where it's went south, where mom brings the kid, drops it off, leaves, then dad shows up, gets the kid, leaves. When he brings the kid back, he drops him off, leaves, then mom shows up, gets the kid, and then leaves. At the same time, if somebody's got it in their heart to want to kill somebody, will they find a way? Even more sickening in these custody exchange murders, it's usually the side that had full custody that we're seeing killing the non-custodial parents. It's not cut and dry. But why would a person that has all the power want to kill that guy? Shouldn't you have been able to look in court and see that there was a bias or there was something that was being protected there in the beginning? Man, I'm trying to get through this. I just want to make sure I don't miss any of the new people. Craig Banham. Hey, brother. Glad to see you in here, man. Everybody tell hey to Craig. Real Pepto-Bismol. That's a cool name. All these different people that we're hearing from today that we've never heard from before. Thank you, guys. Please show up every day. 7 days a week, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. We're going to be on here. If you're at work during the week, the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, show up. Do me a favor. Go. If you guys want to know a lot of what we're talking about right now or what I just talked about, YouTube, I Stand With John. Just put it down there in the comments. It's free. That was a documentary that was made by this community for this community. We didn't charge you a dime, and we took a lot of our own time and our own money to put into making it because we wanted people to know John's story because it had it all. It had the family court corruption. It had the CPS, the false allegations, the custody exchange murder. It had everything involved. Watch what John went through. We made that documentary so that it could get out there and educate people of what's going on with this system. And I'm very proud of it. I am. It just got put down there in the comments. But Mr. Craig Banham, he said, sad truth. I had this woman cheated. Then I tried working through it, quarrying, just to get constant arguments every day. Yet I was to apparently blame for working, bringing in the money. Craig, dude, brother, it's me. Usually, you know, like I go on here and I'll start talking about my story and the guys will be like, that was me. That was me. Dude, that was me. I went for months when they didn't come home from work or that I had some suspicions, something didn't seem right, something was off while I'm not sleeping, while I'm not eating, because I'm wondering, like, why isn't my wife wanting to sleep in the bed with me? Why is she acting so weird? Like, dude, I remember when my ACL got tore, I thought everything was normal up until this point, but my ACL tears, I can't walk. Got my family crying around me. Somebody goes and gets my wife and she just gets there and stands over me and says, what do you want me to do? That was one of the hardest moments, man. I'm sitting here. I had been working 2 jobs, you know, the year leading up to that, busting my ass, dude, no time at home or anything just to provide this life. And here I am at one of my most vulnerable moments. What do you want me to do? And then when not coming home from work and all this stuff was going on, what are you doing? You know, it feels like something's going on. Or are you talking to somebody else? That's the problem in our relationship. You always think I'm doing something. Eric, you are controlling. You are manipulating. You are all these things. You are this bad guy. And you're always accusing me of things that I'm not doing. And dude, I believed her because I wasn't allowed to challenge. I went to counselors. I went to doctors. Doc, something's wrong with me. I'm thinking all these things is going on with my wife, and I love her and I love my family, and I don't want anything bad to be happening. If there's something wrong with me, fix it, because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be making her feel like this. I don't. There was affairs going on. I was right. The whole time I was right. But that whole time I'm being told that I was crazy. I was crazy. Where do those hurting guys go? We go to counselors, we go to doctors, we get put on SSRIs, we get put on all these other things, thinking that we are the problem because we just want to fix it. And the reality is, we don't know what the reality is, right? The wool could be over our eyes because we're not allowed to challenge the narrative. If you think your wife's cheating on you or she's doing something like that, if you say, hey, are you cheating on me? Or if you try to get, look into a text message or something to see, like, dude, let me just say, before I say that, anybody that has to look at a text message or do any of those things, you're in the wrong relationship. I don't want to be in that where I feel like I got to look into their social media or their text or what. I don't, but I've been in the relationships where I felt like I needed to, because I needed to know what the hell was going on, because I was never going to get told the truth. I was told I was crazy. Luckily, I found a note. I found a note from the guy who knew that she had a family and kids and was doing this. And then I found out, son of a bitch, man. I went to counselors. I went to doctors. I've been crying. I've lost 60 pounds. I haven't been sleeping. I've almost gotten killed on my way to work. I have put myself down because she told me I was the problem and that I was lying and making it up. I thought that I was crazy. And the whole time I was right. They will tell you that you are all these things because they don't want you questioning or seeing what's really going on. I've been there, Craig. I've been there. And yes, it's arguments. It's arguments nonstop. Don't look at me. Don't look what I'm doing. This is who he is. This is who he is. That's the projection, man. That is the projection, and that's how they're doing. Hey, anybody? You heard what I just said? You been through it? Want to hear from you. Mandalorian, I like her. She has been showing up a lot here lately. Awesome name, obviously. I'm Amanda. Not a dad, obviously, but I am here because I was a child that was fed the narrative of my dad was a deadbeat. He didn't love me. He wanted nothing to do with me. When I became an adult, I looked up my dad and we sat down and talked. He was kept from me just as much as I was kept from him. He gave my mom money, gifts, and constantly asked to see me. Mom took the money, said the gifts were from her, and she would move and not even tell him where I was. So I hope I can encourage dads in here. Dude, that's a strong advocate right there. Amanda, we need to get into more of the conversation on that because I'd love to hear more about it. I really would. Trying to get through these comments, guys. I think I'm probably about to wrap it up. Or Tom Buddy Fitzpatrick said, I thought I was alone for like 8 years. Our brother David Weber pointed me to Dad Talk, opened up a whole new world. I hope I make a difference as well. Dude, thank you. You heard about it from somebody else. That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. You guys, please keep doing that. Let other people know about the show, what's going on. And when they get in here, I'll ramble. I've been doing it for 2 hours and 10 minutes now. To be honest with you, the way I've felt lately, because I don't feel like I'm having to be that little fake version of what the movement wants me to be. Why did they want me to be that guy? Did they really think that was going to make change? They've been doing that for years. Why did they want that guy? Because that guy was limited on what he could say, what he really thought, and what he wanted to fight for. This guy right here, I got no limits. I got no limits. I'm David. I got my stones. I got my slingshot, which is my microphone. It's my voice, and I'm ready to slay the giant. And I've got a mouth that could sit here and I could talk for the next 48 hours, man, straight. And I don't think we would have to gasp for a word because I know what we're fighting for. And the message, when you know what the message is, when you go after that, which they hold dear, it just flows right out, man. It flows right out. Please bring people to the table. So why I'm doing this, why I'm doing that message, get the people here. All right. Joseph Villarreal, he's a member over there on the YouTube, and I love this guy. This guy has came a long way, man. I remember seeing him when he first got in the movement till now. He's became a great representative out there in the state of Texas. He speaks well. He shows up, and guys, one of the biggest supporters of the show and this movement in general. So I just want to say a good thank you to Mr. Joseph right now. I don't know if you've heard it enough, dude, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I remember seeing you when you first came in here and the motions going through it, and it was hard for you to even hold your head up. And then I've seen you at the conferences talking with confidence and knowing your statistics and knowing what to say. And you've been moldable and you're learning. I am proud of you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work. If anybody hadn't told you, I want you to know. He said, that will be the hardest part for me when my son finds out that what we are going through is by way of his mom. There's a lot of people that can't wait for that to happen. That is a sad moment for your child. But it'll probably happen. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be the one that blows smoke up anybody's rear end. There is a lot of cases where it doesn't happen. Or when it happens, like Amanda. In some of those cases, like Amanda, she had a chance to find out, that her dad was trying. Dude, the cases where these dads die and they don't find out until afterwards, or heck, dude, the case where the kid just died and dad found out after the kid died, it was never his in the first place. And so then they're not even going to put his name on the tombstone. This kid that he took care of his whole life. I think the kid was like in his 20s. Think about that, guys. Some of these situations are so disgusting. That's nothing more than toxicity, man. Nothing more than toxicity. Does it get any more toxic than that? That's another one of the buzzwords. I'll keep that out. Focus on the behaviors. Dad Talk today. Erica can act. Shirley, and we call her Shirley. Who you calling Erica? You watch out. That narrative is going to get you in trouble, lady. Let me tell you something. That's right. You done messed up Aaron. You'll be sad for saying that. I'm just kidding. We like to have fun. If you can't pick fun at yourself, who can you pick fun at? Steve Suze, he said, what's the plan? Are we coordinating to talking to our Texas state reps? Fed. I've done it in Texas. I've done it with the federal. I've talked to legislators from every state in the United States in America. What's the plan? The movement's not ready to talk to them. Politicians care about two things, brother. Steve, they care about money. They care about votes. Does this movement look like it's got money? No. You know how this show is going is because I'm going to make money outside of the movement to support it. My own hard work that I could be putting towards my house. I have to go make money outside of the movement, cars and stuff, to be able to support what we're doing here. So we don't have money. There's a lot of people that says, I'm not voting. And I understand it. You feel like your vote doesn't matter. But right now, if we had a guy that said, I am going to revamp family courts, I am going to abolish the child support system, we're going to rebuild CPS and everything from the ground up, every bit of this needs to be abolished. And he runs, and he could actually make the laws. How many of our people are going to vote for him? Are you? Would he get into office? I'm being a little facetious right now because we had a guy that did just that. And he was probably one of my favorite candidates I've ever talked to. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West there in Texas. He ran for the governor of the state of Texas. How many people were busing or giving car rides to the voting booths? How many people were knocking on doors and handing out flyers and helping this guy? That was a pretty big name behind this cause. So what I'm telling you is we are not ready yet. We don't have the votes. We don't have the people. We don't have the organization. Because most of you guys are at work, and some of you just don't believe it can ever happen. We're having to speak life into broken people. Where do earning guys go? They go to work and they isolate. We're having to go to those guys and saying, we need you in here, buddy. Stop it. Stop it. We're like you too. We went through it. I know you're sad. I know you're depressed. You know what? Let's look at it in a different way. You got the hoochie out of your life now, and you got your brothers here standing beside you. Go tell the world what's going on, and let's go change this. But until we have that going into this legislation, I believe is a lost cause, man. Because Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, dude, you don't have to agree with everything he says. I mostly do. But I can tell you what, I had him on the show one time, guys. Same place that I met Kim Klacik. I'll never forget it. Had him on the show one time. And then he showed up in Atlanta at that same rally, walked straight up to me and Robert Garza, said, hey, Eric. Hey, Robert. Shook our hands. I was like, he remembered me. You know how many of these politicians, dude, I've talked to numerous times. Some I got relationships with. Some of them, the next time I see them, like, hey, who are you? Okay. You don't even remember my name. How do I know that you remember the conversation, right? You just did an interview. No, he knew our name. And anytime that I would be somewhere in Texas, I saw him traveling the state, walk up, hey, Eric, hey, Robert, and he was everywhere, man. And if you would have went to his front page, you would have saw what he said about the family law system, rebuilding these courts, getting those emergency orders in, making shared parenting go through, false allegations. Dude, he's the most perfect candidate you could have got. Texas, you shit the bed. Your movement's not ready. They'll show up to the Capitol to tell their personal stories, but when one of the lawmakers that could have backed you up was running for office, what'd you do? I'm not trying to be hard on you. I'm speaking truth. Our movement's not ready. It's not. And if I tell you it is, I'm a liar. We're going to speak truth here. It's not ready. What he said above, I don't think he was talking about what I just said. Okay. With the like and share. All right, I am getting down below. It looks like we're getting near the end. Cody Evans. She said, we will keep it real on your post. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Been a member for a while, and I'm just now hearing from you. Dude, there's a lot of these people we haven't heard from you before. Guys, you don't have to tell us your personal stories or any of that if you're afraid that this is going to be used against you or that. You know what? That's okay. But you can say, hey. You can say thanks for the show or say hey to these guys. Glad to have you here. Help me welcome these people to the show as they get here. Show them the support. What would that have meant to you in the middle of this? To show up thinking nobody cares about me. All of a sudden, I just tune into this show for the first time and everybody's, hey, brother, we're here for you. It'd probably be, I got people that care for me. I don't even care for myself, man. Dad talk is what I needed. At the end of the day, dad talk is what I needed because I didn't have that. I was this close to giving up, guys. Felt like I had nothing else to give. I lost it all. I lost it all. But I will tell you now, I made it. I walked through the pits of hell. I'm looking back at it now. That beautiful wife of mine, my family, I've got my challenges, but I look back at what I was going through, the lack of attention, being lied to, being cheated on. Dude, you think I would have been backed up with dad talk? Hell no, not with anybody else. Exes can't stand dad talk. But my wife, every time I've tried to walk away because I don't take breaks and I get burned out, she said, no, you're not. Man, my life is so much better now. So much better. And I can look back on that and say, it was a lesson. And that's you, guy. That's just making his way in here. You can smile again. You can play zombies again. You can do some of these things. You can love again. That's a big one for you guys, because after you've been through this bullshit, after you've been through one of those types of relationships, you never want to date again. How many times have you heard that guy say, I'm never getting married again? 6 months later, he's married. But that's besides the point. I'm never doing this again. And then they go and do it because that is a natural desire to want to love and to want to have that relationship. We are very uneven. And that's why these guys are going their own way. And I don't blame them. If you got to do that, especially for a season, and you got to get red pilled and know what you will and will not accept in your life and how to push back when this stuff starts going on with you. Awesome. Awesome. But everybody wants that love. I believe in the nuclear family, not 50-50. I believe in 100-100, as Jeff Morgan has said many times. It is easier to parent kids when you have mom and dad in the household on the same team rather than the kid going back and forth and getting two separate rules. Yeah, your mom's wrong or your dad's wrong. You can do what you want. I said you can't do that. Those kids don't even know what's going on, and the kid's going to go to whoever tickles their ears. Okay? When you have that nuclear family where mom and dad can say, look, I knew to go to my mom, even though I had the nuclear family, like, I went to her when she was asleep. Mama, can I do something? Yeah, you can go. And then later she'd be mad at me. I didn't say you could go anywhere. And then my dad was sitting there saying, I told you not to go anywhere. I always sided with mom. Now that I'm older, you want my truth? My dad had my ass figured out. There's a reason I didn't go to him. But mama, he doesn't ever let me do anything, man. I just want to go out with my friends. I'm not doing anything wrong. Just let me go. You're being too hard on him. He's just wanting to go. He's not doing anything wrong. And he would tell my mama, I'm telling you, the boy needs to stay at home. He don't need to do that. Oh, he's going to be okay. What happened? Preacher sign. I played the game. I did it myself. My mom has said numerous times she wished she would have let my dad be more of a dad. But that happens even in the nuclear family. Do you know what it's like for divorced parents? If you try to lay the ground rules down for your kids, you got an ex over there saying that you're doing that all out of control, out of spite. They're not looking at, you don't want your kid to get pregnant. You don't want your kid doing drugs. You don't want your kid getting in a car wreck. You don't want your kid doing all these different things. I want to know where they're at. I want to know they're safe, and I want to make sure that they're making the right choices. You know why? Well, you did it when you was younger, so now you're being a hypocrite. No. I did it when I was younger, and I know how much it messed me up. I don't want my kids to do that. I don't want my kids to do that, but they don't see it that way. The nuclear family is important. Really is. Sapper 21B10 said, I've been dealing with silver bullet allegations for 15 months. This trip through hell. Luckily, I figured out that I was dealing with early. I've been able to fight them off so far. I'm glad to hear that, dude. A lot of times they don't. Yes. Right now, if you've been watching, we're going almost 2.5 hours. I watched that documentary on Netflix the other night. I don't remember that when it happened. But they had the guy, Kai the hitchhiker, smash. I want you to take out your phones right now if you've seen that. And smash. So the like, share, and subscribe button, comment. Yeah, I realized how dorky that was when I was looking back at myself on the camera. Okay. All right, on to the next. Katie, became a YouTube member. I think it's like $5, guys. Can we get some more members in here when you see these colors by their name? Those are supporters of the channel. I think she's like number 2. I know Joseph Villarreal. He is there. Let me. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's not about the money, guys. It's that you believe in the mission. You understand? Because it's going to take money to be able to fight. And any time that I've had any donations come in, it wasn't, yes, I got the precious. It was people believe in me enough to know what I'm going to do with this, because this is what I need to carry on the mission. It lets us know that we're in the right direction. Katie, thank you. Thank you so much. Julie Pruitt said, my daughter-in-law works at Pizza Hut. I ate pizza last night. Don't get me started on pizza. I think you said that for a reason. Oh, do you like your daughter-in-law? You know, Pizza Hut is only acceptable when there's not a real chain around there. Cordio, Boogerman. I almost called you Boogerman, and I don't mean that. You've heard it before. If that's your last, you've heard it before. I love you, dude. I'm not making fun of your last name. Cordio Boogerman. I hope I'm saying it right. He said, it's been 4 years since I seen my kids. They're brainwashed. 4 years seems to be that common number that we've been hearing from a lot of people lately. I'm 4 years. Been 4 years since I seen my kids. They're brainwashed. You know what that's like? Is later on, these guys are thinking, what is that going to be like when I reunite with my kids? Are they even going to know me? You know, I think people get in their head that this reunion is just going to be like we used to see on Baywatch when they're running towards each other, or like on Rocky. And then when they get close to each other, no, it's awkward silence. Do I have to talk to him? Who are you? Why weren't you there in my life? Why are you showing up now? That's some of the crap that they put up with. And these were guys that would have been there for their kids. And the one that caused it has loyalty. The one that was trying has a kid that thinks their parent didn't want them. Go watch the Katie Haas interview that I did on YouTube, guys. Watch it, because I was talking to Katie again last night. Katie's coming back, and we're going to get the other part of that story. And I think that might be one of the most important stories that we've covered on Dad Talk. Go watch that. Katie went 20 years thinking that her dad didn't want her. She was 2 years old when he left. 20 years. Daddy doesn't want me. He was a bad guy. Go look at what that process was like for the kid in their mind. And I want to talk to more of the kids. If you guys got kids that have been through this and they're older and they can talk, I want to hear it. Amanda, I want to hear your story for sure. KT90 said, Eric, what's your opinion? I've been wanting to do a gaming channel, but directed towards dads in our situation. That's exactly what we're talking about doing. It wouldn't be a full channel with Dad Talk, like that, what we did all the time. But we're talking about making a segment every once in a while. That's where we come and do this, man. We had even thought about making contests where you guys can get on and play the video games with us. Would that not be cool? And you know what? It would be nice that every once in a while I'm on an episode, I've got my headset on and my controller in my hand. Smash, smash, smash. Get that zombie. Yeah. And not thinking about this. That'd be awesome. But I don't know. Would you guys support it? Dude, it was weird. When I very first started Dad Talk, I wanted to talk about all sorts of different things. Parental alienation, family court. Yes, that was one of the number one things that I was wanting to get out, but I thought it was kind of a niche subject, so I wasn't going to be able to talk about it all the time. And people were going to call me a deadbeat and tell me not to do the channel and everything. And then I found out, oh no, people want that, right? But we were going to talk about other things, and I tried. One of the ones I did was like Dr. Sean Baker. He was one of the more controversial episodes on Rogan because he created the carnivore diet, all meat diet. So it was just me. Every time I tried to do a topic outside of family law, the community got really mad. And, you can't do this. I can't see my kids. How dare you're doing this? And I'm not doing this. Dude, anytime you do something, you guys watch your emotions with this, because we have lives outside of the family law battle. Okay. And that's okay. We need to do that. We need to do that sometimes. We need to recreate. We need to get outside of this. And then you're telling somebody that they're not allowed to do anything outside of just fight all the time. Dude, the ones that come in with the messages and say, you're not answering my messages, so I can't support you. You're not replying to me. I'm not replying to anybody, not in the messages. But how many times have I read you guys' comments in your voicemails? You can't keep up with them, but people will put these unrealistic expectations on you. Where are you? I see the names. Usually the ones that do that are the ones I've never seen on this podcast. I've never seen them commenting. I've never seen them subscribing. I've never seen them donating. They've never done any of that, but they think just because I am an alienated parent, you have to serve me. And if you don't, you got to be a bad guy. Think about what that relationship was like for that woman that was in there with him. I'm going to tell you, I don't have much sympathy for you because you don't have any sympathy for anybody else or what this is. I don't have a job that I go to every day. I don't have insurance. I don't have benefits. This is what I do. And I have to go outside of this, which I work towards all the time to make money to be able to support this in my family. And then you're going to criticize me because I can't get into some messages. And I only say that not to get going towards that again. I'd love to do something with the video games. It'd be a way that I could still be talking to you guys, but doing something outside of the movement and showing these guys you can have fun. You can laugh. I've seen some of these guys that get mad when you laugh at a fart. I'm not lying. Now, I don't want to smell them, but if I hear it, I laugh at it. I think God made it for a reason. It sounds weird. When you hear that you can laugh. There's some of those guys that can hear that and they get mad because they get mad at everything. If I hear it, I'll be over there. Laugh. Have fun. Let's get some video games in here. Anyway, and we'll do that. What games do we play? Dude, I'm a zombie guy. I like Call of Duty, Cold War. That's it. Oh, Katie, thank you. She said, does Dad Talk Today have a merch shop up and running yet? So let me tell you what's going on with that. Back in the day, I had to do like screen printing because merchandise can cost a lot of money. At one point in time, I had drop shipping where somebody prints it and ships it for me and just splits the money. Dude, I sold thousands of dollars of merchandise for these people, and it went on for months and months and months. I got like $200. Dude, it cost me way more than that just for the streaming equipment. And so I had to go and get, some of the screen print stuff because you can get it a little bit cheaper. But then I have so much time going in here that you got to have somebody that's making the packages, answering the messages, and the whole 9 yards. And I just couldn't do it. So I've got some merchandise right here. We're going to get it up. And we got some really cool merchandise. But how often do you hear me guys say something about merchandise? Just up until like a couple of weeks ago, I started pushing the cups. These are really awesome cups. But our plan is to get a lot of different t-shirts, cups, anything, stickers, decals. Tell us what it is that you would like to see some Dad Talk Today merchandise on. And one thing that I'm wanting to do, this is really cool, but I'm wanting to make sure on the shirts that it has some phrases that tells people what that stands for. One of them is going to say, instead of asking a father why he didn't fight harder, ask mothers why he had to fight at all. I want that on the back of your shirt, man. I want everybody to see that. And then you become a walking billboard behind the calls, but I also want it to look good. Dude, like these dads in Australia, I love the stuff on the sleeves. So we got to get some designs. And what I'll do is I'll get them up on the website. And when somebody buys it, it'll go to an order to this printer. It's a father's rights person instead of this other person that was wanting to drain the money from the movement for themselves. It'll go to them. They'll print it. They'll ship it straight out to you. It's just taking a little bit of time to get the system going. I didn't know it. I had somebody that stole my bank card not long ago, guys, and bought $1,000 worth of dog food and sent it to Hollywood, Florida. And I get this telephone call, and I usually don't answer it because I get all these spam calls, but I get this telephone call, and it was like, you ordered $1,000 in dog food from us? And I was like, what? And he's like, you live in Hollywood, Florida? No. It was like, oh, okay. Hey, dude, you just got scammed. And so I had to call and get my card deactivated and resent. And in the meantime, my website was hooked up through that card, and we lost dadtalktoday.com. I stay on this so much on the social medias, I didn't even know that the website was gone. One thing I would like to do is start building up that website too. I'm wanting to get journalists. I'm wanting to get more people involved, articles, you name it. But but we are in the process of getting that going right now. At the moment, if there is something that you would like the cups or shirts or something like that, message the Dad Talk Today Facebook. I know some of you guys don't have Facebook. Right now, that's where we've got it. Message the Dad Talk Today Facebook and tell Cheryl you're wanting to get some merchandise, and she knows what to do and can take care of you. Okay? They're taking care of that. And the more that you do that, guys, that's one way. Instead of just saying, hey, give us money, we can give something back to you. You can get something that you can go and sport towards the cause at the same time, help us get it. And that's a little bit, but every little bit helps, man. So Katie, thank you so much. Remember asking about merch. Thank you. I need to do that more. That's been my problem behind Dad Talk. And I've gotten people that has got on to me time and time again. Most of these guys have been taken to the bank, stripped clean of everything they got, and they're just looking for some hope. They're looking for hope from somebody that's not going to send them an invoice. So I've got options where you can support the show, but I push them really quick at the beginning of the show and really quick at the ending of the show. And if you want to, you do. At the same time, I had a $5 donation that came in yesterday. You know, it's there's only so much we can do with what we've got. I need to be creating sustainability so that I can do more of this and I can create more podcasts and reach more people when I'm not worried about how to keep the lights on, when I'm not worried about how I'm going to put food on the table. And it's just one of those necessary evils. At the same time, these guys have been taken for money. They don't trust anybody. Anybody talking about family law, they think is crooked. And I just don't like talking about money. But we need to. But that's another reason why I say if you show up, like, share, and subscribe, I can get the advertisements without having to get the sponsors, without having to get any of that. And you know what happens then? The message stays the message that you want it to stay. I don't want to stray from this, man. But thank you for asking for that. Jason said, I want one of his hats. So, dude, I've got a few hats left. I got to get some more hats made up. They're really cool. I've had more compliments on those. And dude, I got the Dad Talk Today mugs. Not these. I've got a lot of the coffee cups too. And I'm telling you, dude, it just transforms your coffee. And yeah, Katie, she said, I'm a mom and stepmom. It's hard seeing your man go through this shit and watching kids you love being hurt. Katie, we need you up. We need you talking. We had the stepmoms on here the other day, and I'm going to tell you, dude, they got watched a lot more than this guy on the screen right now with the beard. I guess I'm not as good to look at. But no, you stepmoms are a strong voice because it challenges the narrative. Why is a woman going to talk about the challenges of a man? Because I'm seeing what my man's going through. I love him. I remember my wife telling me, my daughter came to her one time saying, my mom says she don't have any idea how you put up with him. She said that because I love him, because he's a good man. He is a good husband. And because I'm not your mama. Did that speak loud enough? When you women speak up for us, it helps. And there are some queens out there that want to protect the king like in a game of chess. And thank you for that. I'm glad you're here. And I hope you invite your husband here. I hope you invite his family and your family. And let's get them all in here because we do need to speak up. Thank you. Pasquale said, my spelling is not on point today. What'd you misspell? I didn't see it. She said, I've learned right now that what they need the most from me is to focus less on making sure they know I love them and focus more on how much their dad loves them. Unfortunately, yes, when you have somebody else letting them know, like they've got this image that dad's this really bad guy. So no matter how much dad looks at him, I love you, I love you, I love you, it's going to be tainted. But when they see other people propping up dad saying, he loves you, this is what he's doing. That fights more at the narrative than anything, because it's not somebody saying they've got skin in the game saying this. And that's why I say stepmoms also are such a very important help in this. So just keep doing that. I'm still trying. Can I get a hell yeah? That was the best Stone Cold I had. Hell yeah. You hear those family courts? Eric 316 said, we just shut down your ass. Anyway. All right. it's at that point when I start doing stuff like that, I got to get out of here. I was trying to get, somebody say, just get dad talk tattooed on your forehead. Ignore that, Your Honor. I don't want you to do that, man. But if you do it, please send pictures. Okay. If you do it, pictures where it didn't happen. If you do it, I'll be like, look, I told him not to do it. But that's pretty damn badass right there. If you are that attached to the show that you did that, you want to make a point, dad talk on your lips, put today, or you can put it on your tongue. Dad talk today. Oh, you see my coffee tongue? Man, that's bad. It's bad. Ricardo said, video games could be by night. I'm at work. I can hear it, but I couldn't be playing, and I want to play. Dude, I think we're going to do it. Okay, Dwayne, I think they have spoken. I think we're okay to do it. Doug Edwards, he said, as fathers, we all should be here for each other. Every man for every man. Doug, thank you so much, brother. Thank you. And thank you for being here. You're another new face I don't think I've seen before. Can we give a hand to Doug? Can we welcome him here? And I agree. If we all do what Doug is saying here right now, we can find the answer. Oh, dude. Mr. Eric, Mr. Robert, just want to tell you that this podcast, the encouragement that I get is what makes me go through the day. Never give up. I'm with you, and I stand for John. And hey, dude, we stand for you. That's why we do it, man. It's why we do it. Has anyone ever became a dad through fostering or adopting only? Oh yeah, dude. That's there has. There has. And lots of them. There is temp tattoos. I can't. Why not? Why not? You can get a permanent one. Dad talk's not going away. It'll stay relevant. That would be some good advertising right there. But okay, I'll go for a temp tattoo. Okay. Anyway, and you know what? It could be unfortunate. There could be a dad that's a victim of the system. CPS. They make incentives for adopting those kids out. There's times where CPS rightfully takes kids. We've seen times when they've taken kids unrightfully with no justification. But when they adopt them out, there's an incentive for adopting that kid out. And now this parent is now fostering a child, which is a good thing. You want to take care of this child. They need parents. We thought that they didn't have parents that cared for them. But then we find out there's cases like Christopher Carlton. If you look out of Utah, he was lied to and told not only was his girl a boy, but that it died. So he thought his child had died. He later found out mom put up the child for adoption and it had been adopted out. He fought for that kid for years. There's nothing he could do. There was a bio dad that wanted a kid. That system is supposed to be for kids that have no parents that want them, not a system where these guys that would take care of them, that would love them, that would give them that home have no chance. There's so many different angles. And dude, if you're one of those that have been an adoptive parent, my mom, right before my dad passed away, it was unfortunate. They had this girl that was coming to their church and it was a product of the system. And she had a child like at 16 and she ran away and they had gotten really attached to this baby that was coming to the church. My parents ended up adopting her. Her name's Heaven. Okay. And she lives with my mom. Right after that, my dad passed away. So she didn't have a male role model, which would have been my father. But I've seen that process and seen them love her and give her that world that she wouldn't have had if it wasn't for that. And so I think adopting kids can be a beautiful thing. John Mass' brother, Sam, he might not want me telling this personally, but he adopted a kid, man, and dude, he loves that kid so much. You cannot tell a difference between him and any of the other kids. You just can't. I think that's a beautiful thing. There's a lot of challenges that come with it. And I'm guessing that you've got some challenges with that if you're wanting to talk about it. So, we'll definitely get that out of there. All right, guys, I've got to get out of here. If you don't mind, I went ahead. I was going to record 3 different episodes to go out for Saturday and Sunday. I'm just going to replay this one tomorrow. Please show up on Sunday and then do me a favor. make sure that we're getting in there and welcoming people as they're coming in. I'll be back on Monday. We're going 7 days a week. We're getting this going. I'm going to take a little break. I got to recharge my batteries. What happens? I get passionate. I get behind it, and I don't take breaks. And the last time that I got to the point that I was last night, it was 3 months before I came back to do Dad Talk, and I didn't even want to look at it. And as you can see the passion right here, I love doing this. This is what I'm called to do. I didn't want to do it, but this is what I'm called to do. But if you don't take a break from it, you get burnout. And trying to get back into something after burnout is bad. So I'm going to go take a weekend. Okay. And we can still keep the show going and everything. And then Monday, it's back to the races, man. It's back to the races. And I love you guys. Many ways you can support this show. We've talked about it. Did I take that off? You know what? I never put my speaker overlay on there. Huh. I'm sorry. Many ways you can support this show. Dad Talk Today. No spaces. Cash App, Venmo, Patreon. There is also super chats and memberships over on YouTube. We talked about that a while ago. We got a new member over on YouTube. Woo, woo. And there is also stars and memberships over there on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Everything I said here today, I stand by it 100%. There's a lot of people that don't like the way I talk. They don't like the things that I say. They say that I'm crazy, that it's never going to happen, that David can't kill Goliath, and that none of this is going to happen, dude. And again, take that precious. And I got to go pick that up. That was my wedding ring. But that was me throwing it into the Mordor. Okay, on that note, I love you guys. Support it. Get your Dad Talk Today mugs. Have a good weekend. See you next week. Hey everybody, Eric Carroll here. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Dad Talk Today. While we fight for you, we would ask for you to please help fight for us. Like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notifications every time we go live. There's also Super Chats, patreon.com/dadtalktoday, and other ways you can support our channel. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time.